Nobody knows what it takes to win a marathon gold medal. Nobody knows what it takes to win a distance medal. So we're just gonna continue banging around, like hoping for the best.
Alright, welcome everyone to episode 1 of the InsideTrackSG podcast. Firstly, thank you so much for tuning in. As many of you know, I'm Amir, an avid Singaporean middle distance runner who's based in Perth. So a few years ago, I started this, specifically InsideTrackSG, as a side project to cover the Singaporean athletics scene. And I know I haven't really been active as I would have liked over the past few months, especially when it comes to keeping the InsideTrackSG Instagram and website updated. And that's partly, a big part of it is because of life lah. I've been involved quite heavily in my studies here since it's my final semester of undergrad. So naturally, a lot of my focus has had to shift to that. But also at the same time, I'm still training as well, while also working. So balancing everything has been a bit challenging. But even throughout all that, I've actually still been thinking about this platform and how I can use it to help bring deeper conversations to Singapore athletics. And ultimately, that belief has led to what we're doing here. And yeah, just to be clear, this podcast doesn't mean I'm moving away from everything else. I'm still going to be active on the Instagram page. And in fact, I am currently rebuilding and improving the website to make it better for everyone who follows the sport. But moving forward, I think this podcast is going to become one of the main ways, I guess, that I'll continue building InsideTrackSG. Because at the end of the day, the goal for this platform is really quite simple. Is to create a dedicated space for Singapore athletics and our community, a place where we can discuss performances, talk about the stories behind the sport, hear directly from athletes themselves, as you will see in this episode itself, and ultimately have honest conversations about where athletics in Singapore is headed moving forward, leading to 2029, our home SEA Games, and further on. And I figured, you know what, there's no better way to kick off this podcast than by taking a proper look at everything that has happened in Singapore over the first half of 2026. Yeah, because honestly, I think we're actually witnessing one of the most interesting periods that Singapore athletics has seen in quite some time. And I say that because if you look beyond individual performances, something much bigger seems to be happening. For starters, Singaporean athletes have actually already broken 43 national records in 2026. And to put that into perspective, in the entirety of 2025, 47 national records were broken. So in literally just half the year, we've already hit 90% of last year's total. But actually, I think the bigger story goes far beyond the records. Because what has stood out for me is actually how ambitious our community, like our association has been internationally. Earlier this year, we set Singapore's first ever full women's squad to the World Cross Country Championships with Vanessa Loh, Nicole Lau, Faith Ford, and Ng Xuan Xie leading the pack. And the team came away with a
Vanessa
12th
and
place
Nicole
finish.
married or what? You said Vanessa Low and Nicole Low. Are they married? I
Oh,
didn't know
sorry,
about this.
Vanessa Lee and Nicole Lau. Sorry. And yeah, so then afterwards, actually, we also sent our largest contingent in recent history to the Asian Indoor Athletics Championships. I think we sent 8 people. And for context, if I'm not mistaken, we sent 1 athlete in 2024, 2 in 2023, and none in 2018. And that team then went on to produce 6 national records. And we then also saw our Singapore athletes compete at the inaugural Asian Jumps Championships in May, where our athletes Andrew Medina, Gabriel Lee, and Tia Rosario all recorded top 8 finishes in the continent. And perhaps most exciting of all, leading up to 2029, is that we actually sent our largest squad ever to the Asian Under-20 Championships, which was in Hong Kong. We had 31 athletes, 19 boys, 12 girls, and over there were 5 national records. 2 athletes hit the World Under-20 Championships qualifying standards and booked their place to Eugene, Oregon. More on that later on. And it's the first time that we have had 2 athletes who have qualified for the World Championships. Since I think 2014, I believe, which was when Shanti Pereira, Jenna Wong, and Zubin Munsherji actually qualified. So overall, Singapore athletics is becoming more ambitious, or rather Singaporean athletes are becoming a lot more ambitious, not just domestically, but internationally. We are exposing younger athletes to stronger competition environments, we are sending larger teams overseas, and I am getting the sense that increasingly us athletes are beginning to believe that we belong on bigger stages. And actually, even if we zoom out a bit further, the domestic landscape tells an equally exciting story. Because if you look at 2025 versus 2026, the demographic that's actually driving Singapore athletics has shifted quite dramatically. In 2025, majority of the national records were broken by men, 27 to 20. But in 2026, 30 of our 43 national records were broken by female athletes. So that's almost 70% if my math is correct. And I think just overall, women's athletics in Singapore is in a very exciting place. I mean, we've got Kirsten Ong, who continues to break her records. We've got Tia Rosario, who's raising the bar for the jumps. And even in the pole vault, where we've actually had a missing presence for the last few years, we have a good junior called Ashley Ong, who's actually raising the bar as well. And at the youth level, based on our recent national championships, the Singapore Open in April, we have had a lot of new national champions that are in the youth or junior category. For example, our 3,000 meter steeplechase champion is Sung Ye-jun, 17 years old, still a student at NUS High. Joshua Lee, 18 years old, our national champion in the long jump, student at ACSI. Ray Tan, Rev Legion, 18 years old, I believe, and national champion in the high jump. And even on the women's side, you've got Tabitha Ng, 5,000 meter national champion, 17 years old. Clara Chua, 19 years old, national champion over 1500s. And like the list just goes on and on, right? I could literally spend the whole day just listing them all out. But to me, this is what tells the most important story, because strong sporting systems are not built on isolated stars, and they're just built on depth. And for the first time in a really, really long time, it genuinely feels like Singapore athletics is developing depth across the board. Be it sprinting, distance running, throws, jumps, hurdles, even race walking, actually. So yeah, we're seeing progress everywhere. And yeah, that to me is the biggest takeaway from the first half of 2026, which is Singapore athletics as a whole. We're not relying on just individual outliers. We are actually trying to build the ecosystem from the ground up. Now, of course, some people might look at these results and say, well, you know, some of these younger athletes are national champions only because the top athletes, for example, like Soh Rui Yong, Sean Goh, Vanessa Lee, they're not coming back to compete. And to a certain extent, I guess it's true, because many of our athletes are currently based overseas or training abroad or racing internationally, whatever it may be, right? But I think that then raises a bigger question. What should our national championships represent? Because for me personally, I feel that one day I really want our national championships to become more than just another domestic competition. I want it to be an event where all Singapore's best athletes come down to race and compete against the next generation. Because I believe if we do that, I think we can have a very good show to put on. Because ultimately, that's how you build excitement around the sport. And that is also how you inspire the athletes coming through the system. Now, speaking of athletes who have experienced the journey of being a Singaporean athlete through the system firsthand, I really can't think of a better person to have as our first guest here on InsideTrackSG podcast. Joining us today is Singapore's most accomplished distance runner to date, someone who has competed at the very highest level in Singapore athletics, experienced the local university system, trained overseas a fair bit, and continues to be one of the most influential voices in shaping conversations around the sport today. So without further ado, please welcome Soh Rui Yong.
Hello, Amir. Congratulations. You've started your own podcast. I see that you've been inspired to take the first step. I'm going to take full credit for that, for pushing you to do this.
I mean,
what made you do the first step, man? What made you take this first step? I'm proud of you.
I mean, it's been a while that I've been thinking about it, but going on your podcast, I realized that, you know what, like, there's no better time than now, especially with the kind of stuff that you have been putting out and how good the content is. To me, it's like, in my head, your podcast is all about sharing the stories behind the athletes and, like, you know, bringing in these voices. And for me, I guess I want to take the other side, which is more about talking about performances, talking about more systematic things. So hopefully in the future, I do hope to maybe interview some of the members in SA or, you know, some of the higher ups so that we can get a better understanding of these systematic things and hopefully, you know, carry on the conversation that we can actually bring change about.
Fantastic. I mean, you already put in a way more effort into all the data behind that introduction than I have done in 13 episodes. I don't do any homework on. I just put the guest on, I ask him questions or her questions, and I let the guest do the work. I'm the laziest podcast host in the world. So, impressive introduction, man. I learned names like Tabitha. I've never even heard of Tabitha until I listened to you in the first, 5 minutes of that podcast. I mean, Andrew, Medina, all these guys, if I didn't meet them at SEA Games last year, I probably wouldn't have heard of them either. But, Andrew, Gabriel, got the chance to meet them. Tia, got the chance to meet her.
Yeah.
Clara, I think I've heard of her a little bit through the years. Don't know her personally, but Tabitha definitely never heard of her. So yeah, just listening in there. I mean, I'm surprised we had like 43 national records. You mean like age group records and everything, right? Not like senior
Everything.
records. Everything. Okay.
No.
I didn't know that we were breaking that many records. So well done. Good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I also didn't know because I helped to keep track of it as well, right? So I looked back and I was like, oh my God, we're actually already almost the same.
You say
So
you
it's
have to
quite
keep track of
interesting.
it. You
Yep.
work for Singapore Athletics?
No,
Okay, so you're
that's
doing
a
it.
whole separate conversation altogether.
Okay, so you're doing it for free.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
are you
guess.
still doing it?
Not as much anymore. I mean,
Okay, then
it
how?
used to be quite high on my
Then how?
priority list. So Shah now
Like
takes
that,
over
like that
and
die
does
lah.
more of
Singapore
it.
Athletics, so no one doing this data for them anymore.
No lah. Shah still does it. I mean, at the end of the
Okay,
day, we had some talks and stuff, but
yeah.
things happen, so whatever.
Okay. Oh well, that's disappointing. And Shah wasn't even there for a long time. Shah just came back, so came back
Yep.
at the right time. Otherwise, who's gonna do all this? Yeah, that brings
And
us
it was quite rough.
into the meat of this episode, I guess.
Okay, not yet, because actually because I've been asking around, right, for people, because
Yes.
I've asked some of my juniors, especially like, oh, what would you, if I had Ray Young on as a podcast guest, what would you want me to ask? And actually, a lot of them are very interested in wanting to know your journey and all these things. So before we dive into all that, let's start from the very beginning. Like really, really the very beginning, kinda.
Yeah.
When did running first become something more than just a school sport for you? Or like when did you first realize that, oh, you might actually be good at this?
Yeah. Am I here because I'm old or what? Like, who else did you consider for this episode one?
No, okay. Firstly, I mean, I actually have a lot of more in-depth questions for you.
Sure.
Specifically for you. But I think for every episode, I want to start off by getting to know the guest. Especially like the journey, because especially for yourself, I know that a lot of my juniors want to know how you've managed throughout your journey with the ups and downs, all the bumps. Because let's be honest, you are the most polarizing figure in our sport.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. So it's like they want to know like any advice that you can give or like anything they can learn from your journey, I think would be very beneficial just for their growth as in general.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess I'll get to answering your question. So, your first question was, when did running become more than just a school sport? I would say
Yeah.
probably I always did. I showed up for my CCA, like sometimes I'll skip, whatever. But like, I guess I took it more seriously in secondary 3 and 4, but I mean, still not that seriously. I was still like go and play soccer the day before the national school's 1,500-meter final on the final day, right? Like, it was not
Yeah.
that serious for me. I didn't understand super compensation or like stuff. Just train hard, do your easy runs, play soccer, and then pray to God that you can. I'm sorry, I'm not even religious, but just hope for the best that you can medal on the final day, right? No surprise
Yep.
that the only time I got a medal in the 1,500 was when I was. Actually, no, I never scored a medal in the 1,500 meters until I was in JC1. But I did get a medal on the track in the 3,000 meters in Sec 2 and in the 2,000 meters steeplechase in Sec 4. So 4 years, sorry, I didn't do the season in secondary 1, but 3 seasons and only 2 medals to show for it. Both are bronze. Not terrible, but not fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Certainly not Zachary Ryan Devaraj, who was winning 7 gold medals from Sec 1 to 4.
That's a different story
Yeah.
altogether, man.
Exactly. So, but when after I finished secondary 4, I was in Raffles Institution in secondary 4. So, secondary 4 so year 4 to year 5 is a big transition because we go from Coach Stephen Lim to Coach Stephen Quek. And Coach Stephen Quek, as you and perhaps many, now I'm not sure. I'm not sure how active Coach Stephen Quek is in the national school scene. I'm not sure what his reputation is like anymore, but back then he had a reputation for turning like so-called undiscovered talents into national school champions. Like, I think one of the biggest success stories, or a big difference you can tell, because C division, B division, Raffles is nowhere. A division, RJC wins, right? And they don't just win, they dominate. They get like first, third, fifth, seventh at the national schools cross country championship. I believe this was the year 2004 or the year 2005. I think it was the year 2005 where yes, 2005. Mok Ing Ren was gold medal. Tu Yang was bronze medal. Fifth place was
Mm-hmm.
Madan Kumar Balakrishnan. Seventh place was Ahmad Nabil. And Ahmad Nabil is not even a cross country runner. This guy is a 800,000 fight guy, but he can run a good cross country. Like just a bit lazy. He will tell you he's lazy, right?
Yeah.
Not to straight away lean to the Malay stereotype lah. But Ahmad Nabil is very talented, but very lazy. 800,005, he will
Yep.
destroy you on the last 200. But cross country, he takes a bit of work lah. Cross country, so naturally he
Yes,
never
it
won
does.
cross country. So
Okay.
anyway, so as a secondary school boy, you kind of look at that. I'm like, hey, how come Raffles like they can dominate at A division, but B and C division nowhere near. We don't have anyone challenging for top three. Not nowhere near as good. Um, so and then you see a guy like Mok Ing Ren again, nowhere near a champion in Sec 1 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
He goes over to Raffles Junior College. Year 1, Stephen Quek turns him into a cross-country champion. He's beating Chua Yi Gim. And Chua Yi Gim, if you know him back in the day from ACJC, he was very smooth runner, very talented, competitive at 1,005, 5,000, 3,000, like just one of those like all-rounders from the time he was like secondary 1 or 2, like good from 1,005 upwards. Yeah.
Very
So
gifted.
yes, very gifted. And guys like Jeffrey Ng from Hwa Chong, him and Chua Yi Gim will be rivals and leaving Mok Ing Ren far behind in secondary school. And you see in JC, suddenly Mok Ing Ren is first, and you're like, where did this guy come from? Not where did he come from? He was always there, right? Top 10, top 20, top 15, whatever. Now he's first. So like if you look at the pattern, it's like there's something about this coach. He gets the best out of his athletes. So when you finish secondary 4 as a Raffles boy, one by one, Mr. Quack will talk to you. Like he's a good recruiter. He'll come to you and say, hey, are you planning to run in JC? And then for me, the answer was always yes. So let's have a chat. And he told me this story that sits with me till today, and it's more than half my lifetime ago. Not to sound like I'm ancient or whatever, but it is mathematically more than half my lifetime ago. He sat me down at the benches next to the Raffles Junior College track at Bishan and talked to me, and he said, you're 16 years old, Rui Yong. Like, when Fandi Ahmad was 16 years old, he was scoring goals in the National Stadium in front of 50,000 fans. So, what are you doing with your life? I was like, wow, this
I
is damn
remember this one.
powerful, lah. You think a bronze medal at national schools is good? Like, at 16 years old, Fandi Ahmad is scoring goals in the national team in front of 50,000 fans. Like, I'm not gonna, I can't remember the whole, it was like an hour or hour and a half conversation. Like, he really put in the time. But essentially, the message, if I'm gonna sum it up for you, is you're not taking this seriously enough. Running is not just running, it's your lifestyle. Like, I think I've fallen sick before. Like, even the steeplechase where I got a bronze medal, he noticed me coughing after the race, so I was a bit sick lah. You know how it is. Like, you go to school, you're surrounded by crowds all the time. If you're not careful, you
Yeah.
fall sick. And
Yes.
kids, we don't really take care of ourselves as well as we should. So, be it the sleep, be it the diet, be it hygiene, whatever it might be, I was definitely not on top of all those things lah. But he gave. I think he may have reenacted some. Sorry, he may have retold some of these anecdotes about how Tu Yang and Mok Ing Ren like had a big jump between Raffles and Raffles Junior College. And not necessarily the training. The training structure was very similar. Monday intervals, Thursday intervals, Wednesday easy run, Saturday long run. Okay, 4 times a week. We train 4 times a week. That's all we do in Raffles Junior College.
Yep.
And they are winning cross country all 4 times a week training. So, but it was small things like bringing a fruit to training, to eat after the training session finishes, to replenish the body and the vitamin C in. Small things like that might seem negligible. What are you eating during your canteen break? Are you eating lots of fruits and veggies? Blah blah blah. Are you going to bed? Because in Singapore schools we get up damn early, to go to school. Like especially I live in the east. I live in Eunos. I'm a heartlander. I'm not one of these rich kids that get ferried to school in Bukit Timah. Like a lot of the a certain demographic of Singaporean kids. And in Raffles and ACS and Hwa Chong, there are a lot of them. That get chauffeured to school, right? But generally in track and field especially, more heartlanders lah. You know, you live in the HDB flats, you might not live in
100%.
Bishan. I don't live in Bishan, I live in Eunos. So you have to get on the
Yep.
bus early in the morning and come to school, which means you're waking up 5:30 or 6 a.m., which means that if you want your 8 hours of sleep, you have to go to bed at 9:30
9.
or 10 p.m. at the very latest, and that's 7:30, maybe, or
Yep.
maybe 8 if you get up at 6. All this planning and reverse engineering and things are not things. These are things I didn't take seriously in secondary school. So if I were to say when I started to embrace a more professional, all-rounded approach to the sport, is after that very perspective-changing talk by Coach Stephen Quack at the Raffles Junior College track. I want to say this was maybe September 2007. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually very interesting because it's like what you're saying is he didn't change anything fundamentally in training. What he did was basically ask you to clean up the other things
Yeah.
going on in your life.
But naturally, your training becomes better after that.
Correct.
Yeah, naturally,
and
the
I think
training
that's the
performance
thing
becomes better.
that's the thing that the current generation can kind of benefit from as well, or at least maybe some of them are learning because there's a lot of this influx of information and stuff that is telling them that like basically your training is effectively like half the work. Everything else that goes on like around your life is the other half.
Exactly,
You know?
and especially now with, I tell you, social media and TikTok, all this kind of stuff, like, it's harder than ever to keep focus on what needs to be done. Because, you know, you think about it, especially in junior college, JC is damn challenging, I tell you. If you're in JC and listening to this, you think you have a lot of time, 2 years. You do not, right? Studies is very important. You know, in Singapore, you want to do well in your A levels, do well in your IB, right? You think you have 2 years?
100%.
Dude, like, you don't even have 9 months before your prelims, leh. Sorry, you don't even have half a year before your common test. And common test, I tell you, if you don't do well, you don't need to panic. Everyone else around you panics for you. Your teachers panic, they send you to remedial class. Your parents panic, your teachers call your parents. Then even your parents don't panic, they get angry, they panic. Da 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 da.
Yep.
So Stephen Quack is very, very on the ball for these things. He knows the challenges around running, and he helps you to manage all these things by keeping you on the ball. It's time management at the end of the day. We only train 4 times a week, you know, and it's like, even if you take 4 times 2 hours, and it's not even 2 hours when you're doing an easy run, it's like 40 minutes, 1 hour at max.
Yep.
Let's say 8 hours of training a week. That leaves a lot of time to do the other stuff. And you know, assuming that you are on the ball, your education, on the ball with studies, everything, like, you do well enough in your common test that you don't get suspended. I tell you, you get suspended after your common test from CCA. That takes away many months of training. So, not to pick an example, because they are also my friends, but the Victoria boys were very notorious for, Victoria School were more playful, right? You know, Victoria School boys are known for being good at cross country and being good at Dota. They're not necessarily straight A students. Good at video games, yeah.
I didn't know the
Land
Dota
shot,
part, but
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Ahmad Nabil was a fantastic 800,005 guy and a fantastic Dota player. And then he went to Raffles Junior College and met Mr. Quack, and it was quite a challenging transition that I don't think he ever fully embraced. But essentially, the Victoria schoolboys who go to VJC, very often they shine quite brightly in year 1. But then, more often than not, a lot of them don't do well in common tests. They get suspended until they pass the prelims. And then, you know, if you don't do well in prelims, you're again not allowed to do your CCA until January comes around. But then you've already lost like 5 months of training. So the year 2 performance seems to always pale in comparison to the year 1 performance for the Victoria schoolboys who go on to VJC.
And I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly, because no one talks about it. But I mean, I hope he doesn't mind me bringing this up. But Mr. Quack was quite. He wasn't expecting it to. He's not going to say it on a podcast or whatever. But he tells us, like, he said, you look at your friends from Victoria, like, there's a pattern one. Like, you know, as long as you keep training, you don't get suspended, you take care of your education, you take care of your health, you don't get injured, you don't get sick, you don't get suspended from your because of your poor academic performance, you can train on. And if you keep training, you're going to catch up to people who are more talented than you or fitter than you or started earlier than you. So you see, eventually, the best ever Raffles performance, I don't think it's ever been topped yet. You know, it was my year 2. Year 1, we were not bad. Year 1, I was at cross country. I was first. I believe we had 5th and 6th as well. We were first, 5th, 6th, and 10th. Yeah. 15610. So not quite the 1357 from the Mok Ying batch. It was like myself first, Yemping fifth, Hua Chin sixth. I think it was Wei Wen from year 2 10th. And then the first thing Mr. Quack said was, okay, well done, but not as good as the 1357 year. Never mind. Next year we try. This first thing he said, he's always looking for a way to get better. And then the year of my second year, he came to us before the race started. He said, okay, our goal today is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He told us this before the gun even went off. Basically, we're going to sweep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was the goal. Because we had all just trained on as a batch. Like, my friends from BJC, Li Minghui, like Jonathan Edward De Cruz, all these amazing runners, they were unfortunately getting suspended after like subpar academic performance. The school doesn't let them train. It's like centralized ban on CCA. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Train secretly, I guess. But so end up we are not even competing against them because for many months when we are training, they're not training. So by the time they come back, we are ahead. So all these like pre national schools meets, we are all like we were destroying them, at Singapore Athletics cross country we destroy them. Wings cross country we destroy them. We even if I didn't run, we would still win. It was that kind of situation. So national schools, he told us 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a goal. So eventually I was first. Ziming was second. Ming Hui from Victoria was third. I think we had someone come in fourth. I think it was Hua Chin was fourth. Yemping was fifth. Benjamin Quek was sixth from Victoria. So we were 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Myself, Ziming, 1, 2. Hua Chin, Yemping, 4, 5. And then 7 and 8 was Kevin, Adro Tay and Kevin Go. Adro Tay and Kevin Go. Yeah. So that's the best ever school performance. I don't think it has been topped yet. You remind me if I'm wrong, but 1, 2, 4,
not
5,
in 8, no.
7, 8. No way it's been topped. And then what Mr. Quack said the first thing he saw us after for the debrief.
It's not like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Not quite what we were looking for today.
What? How? Oh,
I remember,
my goodness. Oh. It's really
man.
okay.
Yeah. And even then, my J2 year, I actually had a really bad race in my J2 year. In the pre-national schools meets, there was one race at the national school, the Singapore Athletics under 20 lah. Basically, it's essentially a warm up for national schools because everyone is there. I won by 50 seconds. I was in very good shape that year. I won by 50 seconds. I was like, I could run that was the year I ran 16:03 on the track. And this is before super shoes or whatever. All comers meet at Gombak, race against Mok Ying. He ran 15:42. I ran 16:03, and I was basically second in all of Singapore lah. I said Mok. Yeah, so I was in good shape that year. But national schools final, I had a very very bad stitch on my right side. I remember for that cross country. So I really had to just hang, and out-sprinted Ziming and Ming Hui in the last 100 meters of the race. So 1 by 1 second instead of the projected 50 seconds. So I actually had a bad race. But everyone else ran quite well. So we are 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Hasn't been done before. I don't think it will ever be done again. Because it's too competitive now. There are too many evenly matched teams. So I'm not sure it will happen again. But
it will be very hard.
That was when I took it seriously. And then after that, JC finishes. I never felt that I was going to just park it after JC. I thought that I would always continue to run. I wanted to improve and see how far you can go. But yet, SEA Games seems like a very distant dream because, there's a big difference between 16:03 and then the 14:30 or 14:10 or whatever it takes to win at the SEA Games. So it still looks like very far away. So you're looking at our SEA Games medal. You need to run the medal to even qualify for SEA Games. We can get down to that. I don't really agree with that kind of selection policy that's set in place by the National Olympic Council, but that you need to run the bronze medal mark to even go to the SEA Games. And it seems like it's applied selectively as well. Some years it's stricter, some years it's not as strict. I don't really like how it's being done. But essentially, by the letter of the law, you need to run the bronze medal mark to qualify for SEA Games. right? So you look at bronze medal mark. Oh, what's bronze medal mark? I think 2009 bronze medal mark was maybe 1430 or something like that, 1435 maybe. And then our national record
Wow.
then was like 1457.
1450.
Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you need to break the national
Gunnison,
record
right?
it was Gunnison, yeah. It was Gunnison.
Yep.
Yeah, Gunnison, I think he ran that record in 1995 or 1997, one of those years lah. In the mid to late 1990s, I think. So Gannison's 1457 was the record for quite long, and you had to break that record by like 20 seconds or 30 seconds to go and qualify for SEA Games. So they're like, so then you realize, oh my god, there's so many levels to the game. And I mean, now if I see a junior running 16 minutes flat, I'm like, you're in a very good position. You're only going to improve as long as you stick with it. But from that position back then as an 18-year-old, it's very hard to see how you're going to make all those jumps, because you know how hard it is to run 16 minutes. You're not going to envision yourself running like a minute faster, if even. So I think that, like it's just perspective. Like looking back, I'm sure I had a lot of time, but then, there's NS, which I think is a huge psychological and physical block in terms of your development, because you're like, oh, I need to put this down for 2 years. I don't know what's going to happen for 2 years. Just as I'm gaining all this confidence and all this, like, momentum in the sport, I have to park it for 2 years. What's going to happen now? I mean, that's one reason why the performance in track and field is where it is today. I do think we lose a lot of momentum and dropouts. We lose a lot of people dropping out after that NS period, because it's very demoralizing, and some people get injured in NS. I don't think it's talked about enough. Some people injure their knees or whatever in NS. Some people, some people come out and they're nowhere near their previous shape, and they get, just get distracted and do other things with their life, because there are a lot of systemic factors that you have to fight against to continue this sport in Singapore, and not everyone is stubborn enough, or not everyone is passionate enough about athletics to go and bother about all this. In fact, I tell you, most people are lazy, Amir. Most people are not going to bother fighting a system to do this sport. Most people are lazy. Look at it. Look at your students. Look at your people working in jobs. Most people just look for the easiest possible way to get something done, right?
Yes.
And I can tell you, when you're living in Singapore, especially you talk about distance running, the easiest thing to do is not go out and go for an hour and 20-minute run. It's damn hot. Okay?
Just sit in the aircon at home. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Sit in the aircon at home. Like, I don't know, people are lazy, people don't, unless it's fun. Like, one way to make this sport accessible is to make it fun. And I can tell you, we're going to get to this part of the podcast this is the part of the podcast where I tell you, in Singapore, we're very, very good at making track and field unfun. Okay? We're very, very good at making track and field not fun. Be it the official screwing you when you be it the official walking up to the start line telling you that, oh, your shirt is not tucked in properly, step back, tuck in again, or your number tag is too high, number tag is too low. I think Miss Jaya, this official, she's very notorious for this.
I've had so much of that.
Yeah, okay, it's terrible.
We will dive into all that later on. We need to keep that fun part for the later part. But actually, for now, let's circle back to the NS part. Personally, for you, right? Like, what was it like, and how difficult was it for you to continue progressing, like, through NS, running-wise?
The only time I didn't break 17 minutes in a 5K race was when I was in NS.
But were you still running for the army team?
No, there's no army team back then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe the Army half marathon, my formation armor would send a team, and I was a top runner for my team both years. But no, maybe you book out to train like in the 8 weeks leading up to the race. You get like nights out. You get 2 days where you can leave camp after a whole day of activity to go for a run at East Coast Park, and that's called your privilege to train. That's it lah. Like it's no army team. No Singapore where got army team.
Yeah, that's true.
I think maybe now, whatever this Mark Bryan had, in terms of like being able to train and compete during national service, is something that is relatively new. We didn't have it during our time. First of all, the sports minister needs to care. I cannot remember who the MCCY minister was back when I was in NS, the year 2010. We're going to have to Google this, but I know that when Edwin Tong was the sports minister, he was really on the ball in getting his ministry to write letters of recommendation or write letters of appeal to help your guys like Mark Bryan Lewis, like Mark Lee, all these guys who have demonstrated a certain degree of potential, the right or the privilege to train during NS. So I don't know what kind of
Okay,
scheme
wait.
they were on lah.
So turns out in 2010 there was no MCCY. It wasn't formed until 2012.
Okay, but it was the
It was
MCYS, Ministry of
yes.
Community,
Then that one is
Youth and
Vivian
Sports.
Balakrishnan.
Vivian Balakrishna's son is a
Dr.
steeplechase runner. Did
Balakrishnan.
you know that he competed against me? Mark Balakrishnan, yeah.
Oh,
Mark Balakrishnan is 1 year my junior. So
I didn't know
he
that.
ran a steeplechase. When I ran a steeplechase in J2, he was running a steeplechase as a J1 boy. Yeah, in A division.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the year you won that one in J2, right? You said.
Yeah. I only ran steeplechase in Sec 3, Sec 4, and then year 6.
Okay. Why not year 5?
I wanted to run 1,005. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that was where you got your
Yeah,
medal.
I actually, Mr. Quack wanted me to run the steeplechase. He said, you will win the steeplechase. I said, yeah, but I want to run 1,005.
Okay. Well,
yeah, and I mean,
fair
like,
enough.
steeplechase, I did have some, 1,005 you run like. The steeplechase, there's a bit of fear of falling, and, there's a bit of a risk factor, and my mom wasn't fully comfortable with me doing the steeplechase, so, but, after, I had run the 1,005 every year, so I was like, okay, I will run the 5,000, but I also want to run the 1,005, and in the back of my head, I was a bit stubborn about it. Like, I had never medaled in the 1,500. I wanted to win the 1,500 meters. And I've really thought I could win the 1,500, even though, like, chances are lower. Because I won cross country, I won 5,000. 1,500 meters, I was with it was a very tactical race, which didn't favor me. The two 800 meter guys blasted us in the last 100 meters, so I was third. But, I got my medal, at least. And then the next year, I moved on to steeplechase and I won the triple. So, but yeah, count it as a bit of stubbornness. And then Mr. Quack, the next year, he was like, do the steeple, you want to win the triple, you go to the steeple. Yeah. And I was like, okay lah, go to the steeple.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I mean, I wish I had done the steeple when I was in in J2, but COVID happened, so
yeah,
it's like that lah.
That stinks.
Just one of those things. Okay. Anyway, you have already spoken a bit about how disruptive it can be, like NS can be for like long-term athlete development. And I think like you're right lah. Like Mr. Edwin Tong has done a lot in terms of helping I think the specs athletes. I think only the specs athletes get that.
But you need to be on specs. Here's the thing: you need to be on specs. I can tell you, there won't be a single distance runner that makes specs because specs. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's hard. Okay, it's a lot harder, but I think if I'm not mistaken, one of my juniors, Ruben, he's on like his specs carded. It's not like specs potential or anything, but his specs carded, which means there is currently a next year once he go NS, and if he still is carded, he can get like a provision after his basic training if he's training for any competitions.
For specs? I mean, I didn't know he was specs carded. I'm actually quite surprised. But what qualified him for specs carding?
Question. 1,500.
And because he ran 4:08, he gets carded?
I think that, and also because he medaled a few times at CUF and stuff like that.
I see. Okay. I mean, I think that Ruben should be carded lah, and this will help his chances at getting some time to train when he's in NS. But here's the other thing: Mark, Brian Lewis, and Mark Lee. Okay, I cannot remember what Mark Lee did, but Mark Brian Lewis was very happy to not go to OCS, not go to command school. He was just happy to be a clerk or storeman or whatever, a storeman. Yeah. So basically, you forego that leadership path in the army to focus on your sport lah, which is fine. But he knows what he wants, right? And if you and I know Mark Brian Lewis lah, like he's better off focusing on his sport than trying to be an officer lah. This is the same guy that clogged the bathroom in sports school with towels and then filled up the bathroom and made it a swimming pool and then swam around in it, right? And they opened the door and then got kicked out of sports school, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
So we know what kind of character this Mark Brian Lewis is. We all love him, but I think that Mark probably better off like focusing on the sport lah. And he's the one in the generation.
He made the right choice lah.
Exactly, once in generational talent. Like we haven't had a sprinter
Yeah.
that can realistically win the 100 meters at the Sea Games or consistently medal for a very long time. So, yeah, lah. No, Mark Brian Lewis is the best sprinter in history. Focus on the sprints. But someone like Ruben, you see, comes from a good school, ACSI. I think comes from quite an educated family. There's always going to be that influence where all his friends are going to go to OCS, or not all his friends, but all his friends are
A
going to
lot.
want to go to OCS. A
Yep.
lot of his friends are going to end up going to OCS. And Ruben, I think he has what it takes to get selected to go for OCS, which means 9 months of cadet training, which I can tell you, no matter what kind of letters your ministry writes, you know, your OCS training is not going to allow you to go and train.
Yeah.
Go
I mean,
and
that's what
pursue
I
your
also
serious
heard on
sports
the
training.
Pranav one, on the
Yeah,
Pranav podcast that you had. Yeah, that's also what I heard.
yeah. Exactly. And Pranav one even worse. He became an officer, and then because some commando drowned in a swimming pool or something, he couldn't even go running.
Yep.
Hey, imagine being an officer of the Singapore Armed Forces. You got your one bar. Wow, finally, look at me. I got a bar. I'm a man now. And then you can't even go for a 20-minute run without someone holding your hand. Yay!
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I'm no longer in NS. I'm so glad.
Y-
There were so
Yeah,
many changes as well, like even during my batch. But yeah, I'm just glad
yeah.
to be out.
So there you go, right? Like I don't understand. Like if my wife can go for a 40-minute run in London where it's considered less safe than Singapore, much less a military army camp. My wife can go for a 40-minute run, but our Singapore Armed Forces officer cannot go for a 40-minute run by himself. Right? I tell you, some of these rules, when they put into practice, really makes a mockery of the reality. Lah.
Okay, I understand that, but I think at least um from modern standards, I think a big part of the problem is actually also the parents.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not just
parents
the system
complain.
because at the end, yeah,
Sure, parents complain, but parents complain everywhere. It's just that in Singapore we're very sensitive. Or should I say, our
yes.
politicians and our public servants, by extension, are very, very sensitive to public complaints. Other countries, you write to your MP, they both tap you. They don't care about you.
I mean, okay, pros and cons are right. Like it means
Yeah,
that your needs will be addressed quickly, but it also means that sometimes laws like this or rules like this will be implemented without much thought of
yeah,
like your officers cannot train. Like, huh?
yeah.
Then why are you officers? Like, yeah, but I mean, pros and cons. You win some, you lose some. It's just what it is.
So yeah lah, I mean
Yeah.
that's the reality lah, which is why like you look at it, I mean, even for I mean like if let's say Ruben has the chance to leave camp and go and train at Kallang Practice Track, then suddenly from not being able to jog 10 minutes in camp by himself, he suddenly it's almost as if once you step out of camp, you become a full man. Now I can do anything I want. But in camp, sorry, I cannot even jog 1K without someone holding my hand. You know, you see what I mean, lah, huh? So, if you
Yeah.
get the chance to leave camp, you can train. Fantastic. So we'll see what happens with a guy like Ruben. I think Ruben should see. And Ruben's a fantastic example. You see the way he's running against Pranav, out kicking Pranav. And, Pranav is a fantastic runner. I think you flip a coin
One of the
on
best.
another day, Pranav and him, they race again. They could run faster, and Pranav could be in front of him. But
Yep.
these two should be training together and competing together all the way to 2029 SEA Games, where they could be our, by then, +3, Pranav 24, Ruben 21 or 22, 21. That's the
21.
kind of age like you see your Cole Hawker, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Josh Kerr, when they're winning their
Yep.
medals, they're all around that kind of age runner, 21 to 24. That's the age that
Correct.
you peak as a middle distance runner. But instead, Pranav is recovering from NS. Ruben is going to go through NS. Ruben is not going to be training for 2 years, and then by the time he come out, it's the SEA Games year. Then how? He's definitely going to miss Malaysia,
Yep.
lah, right?
Oh, 100%. Because he enters next year. So
Yeah.
unless he somehow misses OCS or SCS,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's gonna go. Ruben is gonna go NS same time as Aswin. I guess Aswin is going in soon.
Yes. But that's
Okay.
because Aswin is in poly.
Okay.
Yeah. So Aswin will go in. Aswin's going in later.
Yeah.
But Ruben's going in next year. Not sure when he's enlisting yet, but he's going in next year. Yeah.
So I mean, my advice to anyone who is trying to train in NS, go and ingratiate yourself with the Minister of Sport, David Neo. Ingratiate means Paul and lah, right? Carry balls, network. Sorry, the LinkedIn word for this is network. Network your way into someone with influence and power that can write powerful letters that help you, or help. At the end of the day, is who you know, right? It's who you know that is going to
Yes.
write a letter for you to help you get out of NS. And you know, ACS boys are good at this, like you all know how to network, lah. So you all go and help them, lah. Help
I
you
would
burn, lah.
argue that's
Right?
probably what we're best known for, lah.
Yeah. You guys are good at it. Make
Okay.
use of it.
Okay. So after NS, as we all know, you actually went through NUS first, right?
Yes.
So then my question there is, you went through NUS. I think you participated in IVP and AUG as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then how did the transition to Oregon happen?
I applied for an exchange program. You know, like at the end of your first year, everyone is looking to go on exchange because A, everyone can't wait to get out of Singapore and experience a new university. B, a lot of people look at UK, US because UK, US are seen as like, you know, I mean, most of the quote unquote top universities in the world seem to be in UK, US lah. Now, if you look at how the ranking system is devised, it's very heavily skewed towards the UK, US universities, you know, for political reasons, especially and financial and political reasons. So I think that's a huge reason why. But a lot of people want to go to the US, and you're going to look at NUS, a lot of partner schools lah. So NUS Business School has a lot of partner schools. I think that a very popular location, I think Wharton might be a location where our high jumper
where
Campton
Captain
went to
is.
go and study. Yeah, I think Wharton is a partner school of NUS, and if it is, it's a very popular exchange location. It's very competitive because A is one of the top business schools in the world, B is in the US. Oregon is not a partner school of NUS Business School, but it's a partner school of NUS, like the wider NUS. So I had to jump through a few more extra hoops and map my classes, back accordingly to say, okay, I'm going to take these classes, they're going to fulfill these credits, and most people, if you go on exchange, is in your second or third year. I chose to go in the first semester of my second year. I went to Oregon, went on exchange there, realized that it was, you know, my first time studying overseas for an extended period of time. It was amazing, you know, greenery everywhere. But I went there not primarily for the education part of it. Like Oregon, like, you know, it's a nice place to study, but the education reputation, the academic reputation of University of Oregon rather, is not necessarily a tip top. It's not Ivy League. It's not like a very, very like tough university in terms of academics, but it's a very relaxed city. So I was able to train a lot there. I was able to up my volume. I was able to learn new things around that area, like, you know, make new friends. And I decided, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to stay there longer. So then I transferred
So
my credits over. Sorry.
is it right if I were to say that basically a big part of why you wanted to go to Oregon was the track and like the running culture?
Yes. No,
Or
I mean, like, it was 90% the running.
okay, I mean, I thought it was 100%, but like I didn't want to put it out there until you said it. So
I mean, it was also like, keep in mind, like, I had just done the 2012 ASEAN Schools games, and where I ran the 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters for Singapore. I was like, I think I
ASEAN
was
University Games, you mean?
ASEAN University Games, yeah. 5,000, 10,000. I think I was fourth for both. Or was I fifth in the five? I think I was fourth or fifth. I was fifth in the 5,000, fourth in the 10,000, something like that lah. But the 10,000 meters, I ran the second fastest time in Singapore history, 32:26. After leading most of that race and then getting outsprinted for bronze by my Filipino competitor Rafael Poliquid. So, but that's where I met, you know, Agus Prayogo for the first time. Brilliant man, good friend, legend of the sport in Southeast Asia, and my first time racing against him lah. But I was racing against guys like him, Nyong Van Lai, multiple time 5K, 10K gold medalist. Yeah, so that was when Agus and Van Lai were the first and second in Southeast Asia for 5K and 10K. Yeah, and they had a very good rivalry going on. So I was watching that unfold in front of me, and I was realizing that, you know, like I was running times that were considered very good in Singapore at that point of time. You know, on the history books, I was like number 2 or whatever, like just behind PC Supaya. But I was also like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still quite far away from the national record, and I'm still very far away from all these guys who have PBs of 29 minutes, 29, 30 minutes, whatever, like 29, 30 and change
Yeah.
around. You're from your Vietnamese, from your Indonesians, and even the top Malaysian record holder like Ramachandran is also 29 minutes. So I was like, so what is it like? Why are we why are we so far behind? And
Mm.
actually, one of my roommates in the ASEAN University Games, his name is also Amiruddin Jamal, the sprinter.
Oh yes, I know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amiruddin
Well, I've
Jamal.
heard of him. I've heard of him.
Yeah, yeah, I love Amir, man. I mean, I love both Amirs, but like Amiruddin Jamal, my senior, he said something that I remember till this day because like I
Mm.
was, I must have mentioned lah. I was like a bit bummed that I got close to winning a medal but didn't win a medal, and then he was like, ah yeah, Rayong, like you see it, their mileage, you see how many kilometers a week they're running, then you see how many kilometers a week you're running, then how you fight, how you compare. Like it's
Mm.
very different. So yes, like it did somewhat make it feel better that they're running so much more. I'm only running this much. Therefore, it's already an accomplishment to be so close. But at the same time, it's also like, you know, it's also not an excuse. Like when you work less hard, then you lose, right? It's not really an excuse. It's just like
No, it's not.
you work less hard, lah. Like it's like you
Yeah.
cannot say like, oh, I failed the exam, but I didn't study anyway, whatever, right? It doesn't really make things that much better. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, I mean that's true. But it's like, okay, so how can I work harder? How can I work? How can I run more? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if that seems to be the solution, how do I run more and stay injury free such that I can compete at that level? Because you want to go SEA Games, right? You want to go like you want to qualify
Yeah.
for SEA Games. You want to go and compete at a higher level. So I was still with Mr. Quack. Mr. Quack's approach, didn't deviate too much from the early days. So maybe I was still doing 2 hard sessions a week, but I was adding on a few more like uh easy runs on top of that. And
Okay.
being in NUS means that I'm no longer training with the Raffles boys. So Mr. Quack, sometimes he will make it for our sessions. Sometimes he wouldn't be at our sessions if he was too busy. So I have literally gone to the NUS track when I was in year 1 and done workouts like 12 times 1K solo. Yeah,
Damn.
I can tell you, yeah, it's not easy lah. And when I was in Oregon, I not only had a new approach, new friends, bigger groups to train with, whatever. And I pretty much didn't have to train alone all that much unless the class schedule or whatever didn't allow for me to train with a group. But it was a lot more fun lah. I was like, yeah, it's a new approach, more refreshing. Ski Games is like 2 years away.
Mm.
I think if I were to, sorry, when I went on exchange, it was less than 2 years away, and then when I finished my exchange and applied to transfer my credits there and finish my degree there, it was 1.5 years away. But I was on scholarship from Sports Singapore as well, academic scholarship. So I also had to jump through some hoops there, write into the government and say,
Ah.
like, this is my reasons. Yes,
Yep.
academics, and like lucky Oregon has some good history with sports business. The founder of Nike, Phil Knight, graduated from the
Yes.
University of Oregon before he went to Stanford for his MBA, but he did his undergrad at University of Oregon. So I kind of used that angle as like Nike was founded here. There's a good sports business history here. I also want to learn from the best. The SEA Games is not far away. I feel like I can qualify and win a medal for Singapore, but I need to be in the best possible environment to do this. Um, I suppose it helped that the University of Oregon had a memorandum of understanding with Sports Singapore, and back then the Sports
Mm-hmm.
Singapore chairman was Mr. Richard Xiao. Mr. Richard Xiao is
Ah.
one of your
ACS old
ACS
boy.
old boy, and I had a good fortune of meeting him because I think he's also on the board for the University of Oregon or something like that. Like Mr. Richard Xiao is a very well connected and influential man. So got to meet
Mm-hmm.
him. I got to know my story. He must have put in a good word for me. And the CEO Lim Teck Yin back then and him and Mr. Richard Xiao have been friends since primary school or something. So again, I think it comes down to who you know rather than
Who you
what
know?
you know. But I made it very clear to
Yeah.
Sports Singapore as well. I was like, if my scholarship cannot be transferred over, I am prepared to make it work by working part time and basically short very politely telling them that I'm going to make this work no matter what because I think this is the best possible decision for me, and by then I got my family on board with it and everything already. My dad and mom had come to visit. I think my sister had come to visit as well, and she was my sister back then, she still had her American passport, so she could come to University of Oregon and not pay like international fees. There was a process behind it, but
Oh,
she could do that. Yeah, yeah, Romaine could. So my dad came and then my dad looked around like he was like, oh, this is it's better here, lah, better here. Like I think he liked that it was safe. It was like very green. That if
yep.
my sister went there, I would be there. So my family was on board. So I said that I know it's going to be more expensive, but I'm prepared that if you guys don't upgrade my scholarship, I am prepared to cover the extra cost and work if I have to, because I know that this is going to be the best possible decision for my running. And I said, you will pay off on at the SEA Games. So they went back, they talked about it. Eventually, it was approved. So my scholarship got transferred over to an international scholarship. My bond got increased or whatever it might be, and then I ended up doing finishing my education at the University of Oregon. And I actually cramped the years. So instead of taking 3 years to graduate, I cramped to 2.5 years. It's actually 2 years, but I took a half-year break to train, like 3-month break, sorry, to train for the SEA Games.
Before SEA Games lah.
Yeah, full time. And I really believe that if I had not done that, I wouldn't have won the gold medal lah in my first SEA Games for the marathon. Yeah, so huge. I wouldn't say. I'll say yeah, big move. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much of a gamble it was because I knew that was what I needed to do. So big move that eventually paid off at the SEA Games and won a gold medal there, which kind of helped to launch my career, I guess, because not too many distance runners win a gold medal in a marathon at 23 years old.
And in their first one as well,
Yeah, and
like
the
first
first
SEA
one,
Games as
and
well.
on home soil as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so good story behind it, I guess.
Yeah, and like so then that begs the question, right? So what actually changed most from Singapore and to Oregon? Like was it just environment? Was it like your training? Did something change your training or like what was it? What do you feel made the most difference to you?
Um, Training approach is one. Like I believe that Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Quack's process worked really well in Singapore in our kind of educational uh system.
Yep.
It worked in our kind of climate, but eventually, like if you're only running 4 or 5 times a week, you're running maybe 60. I don't even know whether you get up to because that back then we didn't even use Strava, we didn't even use GPS watches. We just run based on Timex watch. So I don't even know my
The
mileage.
Max Watch. Yep.
Yeah, you ask me
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
mileage, I don't know. I don't know. I can estimate for you if I do out the working now like a 20-minute warm up jog with drills, and then we do like 12 times 400 meters with 100-meter jog back recovery or whatever it might be, and then you
Mm.
do another 20-minute cool down jog, or maybe you have a 4x4 speed work before that, and then you don't run on Tuesday, you jog 40 minutes on Wednesday, and then Thursday we do another session. I can't remember what the second session would be now, and then Friday you don't run, and then Saturday we do the 18K run. I don't know, maybe 50K, maybe 60K. Sure, you can be consistent on that, but end of the day, you're not, you don't see any 29-minute 10K runners running 60K a week lah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, it's like what Shoaib said, right? Like, if you want to be competitive in the region, you should be training about 8 to 10 hours a week at least.
yeah, I mean the data seems to suggest that. Now, of course, if you're very, very talented, you might be able to get away with 6 or 7
Yeah,
hours. I don't know, but you cannot assume that you're the most talented guy in the room lah. You need to assume that
exactly.
okay, if I have average, quote unquote average talent, by virtue of even talking about SEA Games, you're probably not averagely talented. You're quite talented, right? But being in a room with other SEA Games competitors, let's say that is the pool. If I'm average in talent pool, sorry, if I'm average talent among the SEA Games talent pool, which I believe I am, I really believe I am. Like if you line up all the marathon runners at the SEA Games, I'm not the most talented. I'm probably not the least talented. I I I'll be somewhere in the middle. So then, okay, if that is my range, I'm not the most talented. I need to pretty much see what it takes to win at the kind of level, what kind of like volume of work, and figure out how to implement that volume of work into my lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, lah. I'm
I think
simple
I
as
think that's a very good approach. I mean,
yeah,
that's
simple as that.
that's effectively what I've been trying to do at least for this year as well.
Mm.
To mix effect, I guess. But yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely something that athletes who are younger would, especially those who are aiming for 2029 SEA Games, right?
Mm.
It would be good if they can start earlier, lah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, like, this is a great. I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, athletes aiming for 29 SEA Games. You start now, man. Like, when I was, 2012, 2013. In fact, I started a bit late. I started planning for 2015 SEA Games. I started planning in 2013. In fact, 2013, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, what if we can make the Myanmar SEA in 2013? But, it's unlikely, lah. It's
Mm.
unlikely. Like, you have to usually you have to hit the SEA Games bronze medal mark to be let in. Now I can tell you that year I think Ashley Liu did not hit the SEA Games bronze medal mark for the marathon, but he got
Mm-hmm.
in. I don't know how he got in. I don't know how the fella appealed. What kind of reason? Maybe they say marathon. Marathon so unpredictable. Whatever. But you also know, like this kind of sport, this kind of the way it's selected. Sometimes you can observe the athletes who seem to be better connected, or from certain, or their daddy knows someone who is well connected or whatever. They are more likely to get selected one for these meets. Unfortunately, that's the case. Otherwise, you cannot tell me that how come. No, the 2011 the bronze medal mark I believe was 2:30. Ashley Liu's lifetime best is 2:32, and hasn't even run it at that point of time. So how did he get selected? I don't know. Then there were guys who were running, off the 5K, 10K. I mean, like, why didn't they get selected? I don't know, right? Like,
Mm.
so, but if you want to be sure, for sure, like selected, you need to hit the bronze medal marks, lah. Yeah.
Unless your name is Soh Rui Yong lah.
Unless you're, I'm glad you added that. I didn't want to dive into that, but unless your name is Soh Rui Yong, then you still have to appeal.
Yeah. I mean, at this point we all know lah. It's no secret. And like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's
honestly,
why I'm the only one that has. I mean, I can retire tomorrow and people will remember me as the guy who charged towards the gunfire. Like, no one else charged towards gunfire, so no one else got banned like that, right? But they were like,
yeah.
how come this idiot is still charging at us when we're firing our rockets at him? We need to ban him. We cannot let him inspire other people to charge at the gunfire, because if 100 people start charging at gunfire, we have a problem. So yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Well,
So
I
anyway.
hope to never follow in that route. So
Yeah. You don't have to. I mean, it's not that I'm trying to inspire people to go and charge at gunfire. I'm just like, if something is wrong, I tend to voice it out. I'm like, why is it that the rule says this, athlete A didn't qualify but he's sent, athlete B qualified but he's not sent, or both didn't qualify but one is sent and the other is not, even though one is faster than the other, the faster one is not sent. We've seen it happen in relay, we've seen it happen in
yep.
a bunch of other events. Like, it's not right. And when I look at it, I tend to question it out loud, because I think it should be discussed. I think that a lot of athletes are actually, I'm not going to use the word selfish, but self-preservative. Right? They know that it's wrong, but they know if they speak up, maybe they also
Something will happen.
maybe they also, what happened to Rui Yong? No, he spoke up. Now he has to deal with shit. I don't think this is right. But you know what? I'm going to preserve myself. I don't get involved. And Singapore has a lot of that. Singapore has a lot of that.
Can I just say the number of people? So because I've been doing, I did like 2 podcasts with you, right? And now like I'm doing another one. The number of people who have told me like, hey, better be careful lah. Like don't get cancelled lah. Better be careful. And I'm just like,
Are these
dude,
people
like,
your
relax.
age
Like,
or
it's
older than you or what?
all older, younger, same age, all. And I'm just like, relax. Like, it's really not that deep. Like, what do you mean?
So why did they think you get cancelled?
No lah, as in they are more like in terms of what I may probe or what I may ask. Because let's be honest, like we all have our own thoughts, and like in our own circles we will discuss them, right?
Yeah.
And they are sometimes, because especially on these public platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously the people who care for me are a bit more concerned that like I don't put certain things out there that would, make me a target for the higher ups, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess, but at the same time, do you really not trust my ability to discern things, So I'm like, okay lah, whatever.
I guess,
I understand that you're coming from a place of care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, end of the day, I think fear mongering works among a lot of people, which is why why these people are scared. I don't know if they're scared for themselves or scared for you, but they're scared lah. Even though you haven't done anything yet, and then you're scared. And then, it becomes a case of, oh, you better not stand within like 100 meters of this guy. What if you get cancelled, right? Even though they don't know what they're supposed to be afraid of, what you're supposed to be afraid of, they don't know. They just like sometimes they hear other people repeat. These people may not even know me. I don't know. Do I know these people? Do they know me? Do they know me well?
No,
Do I know these people? They
no.
don't know. Exactly. They don't know. They haven't done their homework. They haven't done research. They're just repeating what someone else has said. And we have a lot of them in Singapore. They're called sheep, like not saying these people are necessarily sheep, but there are a lot of non-playable characters, sheep in Singapore,
NPCs.
who just
Yes.
repeat what other people have been saying, repeat what they thought they read in the Straits Times, repeat what they read from the Straits Times headline, never even read the article because they have that attention span of a squirrel, some of these people. So it's like that.
Actually,
So
there's
fear-mongering,
more than yeah.
exactly. And fear-mongering does work, but these are not the people who are going to move athletics forward in any meaningful way anyway. They don't have the discerning power or the attention span or the perspective to do it, which is why we are here where we are lah. And I'm very comfortable. I think I moved athletics forward more than anyone in Singapore athletics history on the distance side. I'm very, very comfortable with where I am. I can retire tomorrow, and I think Singapore athletics will talk about me for the next 50 years until I have grandkids. So I'm very I'm very comfortable in my position. It's not because I won a couple medals, right? There are lots of people who won medals. There are lots of people who have been forgotten. There have been people who won medals in the 2 SEA Games ago are forgotten now, right?
Yep.
But I think it's also, it's not say my war, it's not a war or whatever, but like it's also the little battles I fought to kind of move conversations in the right area. And why is it considered bravery to go and probe and ask all these questions? It's because there are repercussions. If people in power don't like it, they can do all kinds of things. But unfortunately for them, whatever they have tried to do to me only made the conversation bigger and made my profile bigger. Yes, I pay the price and I have to recover from things and I have to go and appeal to get into SEA Games teams, or in some cases it costs me money. I have to go and find ways to raise that money and then come back. But it made my profile better, bigger than ever. And now it helps my business.
Exactly.
So
I mean,
life is what it is. You can choose to be a sheep and NPC and play life on easy mode and just walk around and go to work and don't say anything controversial and don't hold any. Okay, you can hold opinions, but don't broadcast your opinions.
Don't put it out there.
Don't put it out there and go and saka, go and carry balls and hope that it works for you. But it depends on your character as well. I'm not someone that is particularly that feels particularly fulfilled if I live life like that. I prefer to live life a little bit like this. Some could say I'm playing on hard mode, but when you play a game on hard mode and you beat the game, or you reach level 9 out of 10, and even you lose at level 10, it's still more, to me, it's more exciting and more fun than playing on easy mode and like fucking sleepwalking through the game. Or there's some people who cannot play GTA without using cheats. Yeah. My wife is one. She spoiled my Grand Theft Auto 5 because she entered a cheat code and then the guy has a rocket launcher on level 1. Right? It's not fun anymore. It's not fun anymore. Because you're supposed to beat level 1 with your fists and maybe a handgun that you pick up like halfway through the level on your mission, and then you upgrade to a shotgun, and you upgrade to a rifle, and you upgrade to eventually having more advanced weapons, and upgrade to having a tank and a helicopter and what have you. You're not supposed to have a tank in level 1. Then you just run over everyone and and then your enemy is on motorbike.
It's no fun. It's no fun.
Exactly. But anyway, I'm not out to destroy Singapore athletics. Some people think I'm out to cause. I'm not out there to destroy Singapore. Every single thing I've said has been used. Every single thing I've said has been an idea to move Singapore athletics forward. And if I have criticized people, is it because what they're doing is not being done in a manner that's moving Singapore athletics forward. But instead of admitting that they're wrong and they're not doing the right thing, or they're lazy, or they're wrong, or they don't know. Sometimes they really don't know. Because I don't expect our officials to know everything. Some of them have never trained or experienced athletics anywhere apart from Singapore, and yet they are in position of power. Guess what? They don't pay attention to more developed systems around the world. Ask Tiru. Ruben has been trying to get them to drop the whole stupid hip tag on both sides, hip tag on both sides, and then 4 pins on both sides, 4 pins front, 4 pins back. You're carrying don't know how much extra weight, and you're trying to break a record in Singapore, or trying to run a personal best in Singapore. I've been to countries where are way more advanced than Singapore in this factor. You just put on your like, let's say your hip
The name tag,
lane
right?
4,
Yeah.
right? Just put your lane 4 on your
Yeah.
chest and then run.
Yeah,
Sticker,
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't even
yeah.
need, there's not even one single pin. What era are we living in? It's not 1950, you know. And then the hip tag is supposed to stick, right? How come still need to pin?
I don't know.
Yeah,
They're concerned
so
that it
these
will
are the
drop
things
off
I
and stuff.
criticize, and then Ray Yong is a troublemaker. Ray Yong doesn't respect officials. Ray Yong this, Ray Yong that. When actually, you should actually be focused on improving the system and the process, and like small things like that.
I will be the first to admit that actually when I was younger, I I didn't like the way you were saying things, and therefore I didn't like you. But then as I
Well,
grew up and I learned a bit more and I listened a bit more, and then that's when I was like, you know what? This guy may come across as a bit crass, a bit brash. And I think I told this to your sister, to Romaine also. This guy
she
may
didn't
come
tell
across
me.
as a bit brash. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know that like if you actually listen to what he says, there are well intentions there. He might say it in a way that engages more clicks or like is a bit more controversial, but the intention is there to move the sport forward. At
Awesome. Can you
least
give me
that's
one
how
example?
I have.
Can you give me one example of something that was
Oh,
crass or something that you initially read? You're not the first person to
I
say that.
think
Don't worry.
I think one of it was what was it? Oh, when you were criticizing Vanessa for the mixed race and stuff.
This was last year lah, the 10,000 meters, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I mean that's the most recent example I can think of off the top of my head.
yeah. You didn't know me then, is it?
No, 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 no. As in, I knew you then, but by that time I had already learned a bit more. It's just that that's the
Yeah.
most recent example that I can think of that's like
Yeah,
a bit more
yeah.
controversial, but I know the well meaning behind it.
Yeah. But on that point, yeah, now that you mention it, she jolly well knew that she's
Mm.
not allowed to use male pacers in a mixed race, what? So why did she still organize it, and why is it wrong to call her out for that?
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, it shouldn't even have been a mixed race to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. It
Let's
shouldn't
just
have
put it
been a
that way.
mixed
It shouldn't
race.
have.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been. Okay, my arguments on this are, I think, threefold. One is it shouldn't have been a mixed race. That's Singapore Athletics' fault. They want to be lazy and then cram everyone together so that everyone can go home earlier. They make it a mixed race. Okay. But just because it's a mixed race doesn't mean you take advantage of it and like, hey, Shohib and Richard Heng, how would you like to pace me, bodyguard me, be my Sims for 25 laps and help me like break the national record? When the national record, by the way, was set without male pacers. So you're using an illegal advantage to try and break the national record. Okay, that's number one. Number two,
Mm.
if you want them to go and pace you, discreet a bit lah. Don't make it so obvious, right? I didn't even know the plan. The moment I saw the photo, I know that is very clearly they're pacing
It's
her.
quite obvious,
If I can
right?
tell, if I
Yeah.
can tell from a pixelated video or pixelated photo, you think the officials there cannot tell they're eagle eye watching you for 25 laps? And then not even that. Shalindran also Shalindran specifically told her before. I know it's the same day. Specifically told her before the race, do not use male pacers during the race today. You know that they are watching you. You still go and do it after. When she got disqualified, she was complaining. Oh no, the sport is dead in Singapore. Blah 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 blah. You jolly well knew. You
It's
still
a
do it, and
rule.
then you know this is coming. And then when it
Yeah.
actually comes, you go and complain to the whole social media and try and make yourself the victim of the situation when it's actually perpetuated by yourself. That's wrong, lah. I didn't agree with that at all. And I also think that, she's the most advanced in terms of performance athlete in Singapore during that point of time in the 10,000 meters. Probably still is.
Mm-hmm.
You go and use male pacers, the whole bunch of people are going to look at you and imagine. I was saying, lucky she didn't set the record. If she set the record, there's a huge can of worms there that you have to address. Do you think it should stand if she set the record?
I am actually gonna say something that
Yeah.
I'm not sure I should, but actually her national record that is current, the 36:15
Yeah.
that she actually set, had
Yeah.
male runners in it.
But okay lah, they didn't pace her lah.
No, no, no. Okay, they didn't pace her, but actually it shouldn't even be a national record
I
because
know.
it was involved. It was
Yeah.
involved in a race that there were males as well. So if you
I
check
know.
her World Athletics profile, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and they separated the results lah, so that it looks
Correct.
like she ran a race with 2 women in it only. So I know
Correct.
that, and you notice I didn't say anything about that because I know that she didn't go and specially arrange for 2 other athletes to go and pace her there.
Ah,
I
okay,
didn't say
fair.
anything about that. I knew that they were not in the. I knew that she had male guys in that race. I didn't say anything about that because she didn't go and arrange people to go and pace her lah. I know
I
that, okay,
see.
by the
Okay.
letter of the law, yes, I agree that record shouldn't stand now. So that
Mm-hmm.
3615 is actually should have an asterisk next to it. So how come Singapore Athletics allow it to stand? Someone doesn't
That
know the
I have
rules
no clue.
lah. Yeah, someone doesn't know the
That I
rules
have
lah.
no clue.
Yeah. No, really, what? Someone doesn't know the
Yeah.
rules, what, right?
Yeah. Okay, but you
Yeah.
gotta also remember that this was the time period when Shah wasn't present.
Yeah.
And he's normally the record keeper of all this.
Yeah. So, okay, so now, apart from you, no one else knows lah, this one, right?
I think so. Well, at least I'm the only one that I know has voiced out lah and said something lah.
You say something to who?
No, as in has asked this question to others. Before
Okay,
that,
you
I don't think anyone has actually noticed. I
Yeah.
did ask some of the. I think I asked Diru. I think I
And
asked
what did
Diru
Tiru
about
say?
it,
And then what did
and then he
Tiru
was
say?
like, "Wow, dude, I have no idea. I don't know why they included it also."
Yeah. So like that, lor. I mean,
Yeah.
like this is not the first time that we have had a cock up in the records, lah. Okay, like it is 2025. It was 2025 when this cock up happened. Like I said, it's not really Vanessa's fault because she signed up for the race. I don't know whether
Mm-hmm.
she knew it was a mixed race. I Did she know?
They
I
might
don't
have
know.
just made it. No, I don't think so. I think it
Okay,
just
yeah. So
happened like on the spot, possibly.
exactly. So I'm gonna give a benefit of doubt. She didn't know. Okay, so she registered women's 10,000 meters, right? And then they were like, okay, for logistical purposes, there are only 2 women. We're gonna throw them together with the men, and then we're gonna have 2 races. One is mixed and the other one is all men. Okay. Then she goes into the race. Not her fault that it's like that. She runs. Not her fault. It didn't look like she had a male pacer, so I don't think. I mean, like based on the photos, I didn't watch the race. Based on the photos I saw, she didn't have a male
Mm-hmm.
pacer. She finished the race. It's like, okay, technically it is a mixed race, but I don't think she had any illegal help from the males. So, so 2 questions, right? Did she have an illegal advantage? I do not think so. 2, should the record stand? By the letter of the law, no. But, like, it's not really her fault, and it is quite hard to find a 10,000 meter race. She didn't go and like arrange for male pacers to come and run with her, so I'm willing to let it slide and not say anything. And yeah, I know, like, I believe I may even have congratulated her. I said, finally you show like you don't need male pacers to go and break the
Yes,
record,
you did
right?
congratulate her. I remember that one.
Oh, congrats! You showed that you don't need male pacers to break the record and then somehow the Show Hip and Richard Heng are wearing super shoes on the track. So illegal pacers, illegal shoes. How many rules you want to break this record? And then you break already, you shook, man. It's like using cheat code for GTA and then using bazooka in level 1 to break the record. Pam! Wow! Look at me! Look at how tough I am. I broke the record. You cheated! You cheated! Why are you so proud of yourself? Might as well take drugs. If you're gonna go so far, then go take drugs. You wear illegal
Okay.
shoes as well.
Yeah,
So
I mean, look, there are many things that I think our SA needs to do better, but that now goes to, I guess, the next part.
yeah.
So, at the very start of this episode, for those listening, I actually spent a big part of it talking about how 2026 is one of the most exciting years that I think for Singapore athletics.
Mhm.
Record-wise, international performances, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So from your perspective, you've been involved in the scene for so long. How do you assess where Singapore athletics is at right now, since you've seen it evolve over so many years?
Well, I have not just seen it evolve. I've also read books detailing the past of I think that the first president. I didn't really interact with President Loh Ling Kok, ACS boy, lawyer. But ruled with a bit of an iron fist. I think he fancied himself as a bit of a Lee Kuan Yew or mini Lee Kuan Yew. He pull stunts like serve the relay team legal letters right before they are supposed to on the start line of a race when they're trying to qualify for SEA Games. If you go and read UK Sham's book, written by Kenneth Koo, there's this episode detailed inside that one of the chapters details this episode where loading cock serves them lawyers' letters at the start line of the track. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if that doesn't, if that is not calculated to shake, to harass you right before you're running an important race, I don't know what is lah.
Is it called Running on Empty?
Yes. Running on Empty.
I'll go and get the book.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there have been like, if you're looking at the situation now, it's way better than what it used to be. Way better. No, President Lian is not going to do something like that. President Lian is, I think, he's a very busy man, but with whatever little time he has, I do believe that he tries his best to enact the right policies and help the athletes like go to, like, you know, do what they need to do to achieve success at the games lah. I really believe that Lian is a good man, and he has done his best to the best of his ability and to the best of the data that's being fed to him. I do believe sometimes when the association makes something a questionable call, I look at it, I'm a bit weird, and when I investigate further, I realize that the information being fed to him perhaps was not accurate information. So end of the day, you can only make decisions based on the accuracy of the data in front of you, or the accuracy of the information in front of you. So I believe that he really tries his best. He's got good connections with the ministers and the political brass that you somewhat need rather in positions like that, and he genuinely wants to help lah. So I don't know. I think there's re-election this year. I don't know if he's running again. I hope he does. I hope he keeps that seat till 2030, unless we have some superb candidate coming on that is willing to take over and, like, you know, do an even better job. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will say that you know, okay, there was Loh Ling Kok, and then there was Tang Weng Fei, and then there was Ho Man Cheong for one term, and then it was Tang Weng Fei again before
Malik Al-Junaid, is it?
No, Malik was never president. Malik was the vice president and then GM.
Oh, yes.
Did Weng Fei come back? Yes, Weng Fei came back, and then Lian took over, yeah.
Okay.
Weng Fei's second term, I don't know how many terms Weng Fei has served as president actually. Like, I think maybe 3. I think he took over for a little while during the Loh Ling Kok time, and then Loh Ling Kok came back, and then Weng Fei took over in 2010. And it's very political. Basically, the government had got enough of Loh Ling Kok and wanted to get rid of him because Loh Ling Kok got a bit too big for I think he thought he was bigger than he was. He tried to sue the Ministry of MCYS. He sued the government for freezing the funds to Singapore Athletics. Yeah, so I remember Vivian Balakrishnan. Yes, Vivian Balakrishnan was the minister then. He found out through the Saturday or Sunday newspaper that his ministry was getting sued by the SA president. Called an emergency meeting. Well, you should get Vivian Balakrishnan on the pod to tell his story. I obviously wasn't there lah. But then basically, like, they went to war lah. It was like, wow, how dare he? Like, you take on the government, you're making the government lose face. They will come for you lah. You know, this is Singapore, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
definitely.
so they froze the funding. The government owns the stadiums. Basically, you can freeze the funding. You can cut off access to the stadiums, and eventually, like, they took away. The Singapore Marathon used to be owned by Singapore Athletics. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So 2010. And that's why Singapore Athletics, or rather Loh Ling Kok, was able to do whatever the hell he wanted, because you look at how much money the Singapore Marathon generates. It's a lot of money, dude. Like, mass participant event, that single event bankrolled a lot of, like, Singapore Athletics funding and projects. So and what if you are the government, what do you fear from individuals is the financial independence. Because once I'm financially independent, I do whatever the hell I want, dude. Like, I don't have to listen to you. I'm not dependent on your handouts. I'm not dependent on your funding. I make money from Singapore Marathon. I do whatever the hell I want. Like, you ask me to do this? No, fuck off. You ask me to do that? No, fuck off. I do things my own way. And so I think that the Singapore Marathon was identified as the cash cow that they wanted to, or rather the river source that you wanted to grab away from Singapore Athletics, or rather away from Loh Ling Kok, so that the funding is cut off and Singapore Athletics is crippled, because they really wanted Loh Ling Kok out. And then this whole thing about the election, I don't know. Have you ever witnessed the Singapore athletics election?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so do you know how, by the constitution, do you know how our president, vice president, board is voted in?
I think the clubs have to vote, right?
Yes. So how many clubs are there that vote? How many affiliates vote?
Wow, I cannot remember how many.
Okay. It used to be around 20 lah. Let's just say it was 20. Yeah. Let's just
Okay.
say at least for the one election that I really pay attention to, it was 20. I remember because it was Ho Man Cheong against Edmund Pereira, and then
Mm-hmm.
the year 2016, and then they vote. They back then it was like vote like president candidate versus president candidate fight, and VP versus VP fight, and then like fight. So you could end up with a team of like 5 from one team and 5 from the other team, and that's when you would get like a big lock lah for 2 years because they will just vote
Yeah.
against each other.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's good for entertainment and content. It's not so good when you're trying to pass policies lah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the ethics would suffer, what? Oh, okay.
So the constitution has since been changed. So that's why I say you are living in a very blessed era already. I've seen all this shit lah. Yeah. So yeah, like really, I don't sound like the old man telling you guys have it very good. You guys don't know anything. You don't know how bad it was. But like literally, you guys don't know how bad it was. So I remember 2016. I might even be able to find a video on Facebook or something like that. But it was Edmund Pereira against Ho Man Cheong. Affiliates vote. And then Shalindran is on stage counting the votes because at the time he was executive at Singapore Athletics, and then come out 10-10, 10-10. 10-10.
Even.
Like, yeah, even. And then they were like, oh shit, what happens when it's a vote, a tie? And then Tang Weng Fei is still the president then, so he brings up the constitution and he reads the rule. He said, in the event of a tie, there's a revote. And then if the revote is a tie again, the residing president gets to cast the deciding vote. Now, him doing that, I think, caused a problem because him reading that last part, like, being too transparent, I think caused a problem because right away there was almost a riot. The people were like, no, you cannot vote. You have already made it very public that you're going to support Edmund Pereira, blah, 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 blah. And then, I mean, like, the opposition is right to go and, Ho Man Cheong's group lah, is right to say that lah. And then when he said, no, but it's not that I want to do it. It's the constitution. Fight. Wing Fei even said, like, okay, if I don't give the casting vote, who should do it? Sport Singapore, you guys want to do it? And then Sport Singapore rep Leonard stood up and said, I don't think it's appropriate for us to get involved. It cannot lah, government intervention and that one, your whole association get banned. So chaos, dude. Like, and all this is on a video on Facebook. I hope I can find it and send to you. And then
wait, this was live streamed?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The media was there, they live stream, like Straits Times or what, live stream, because it was such a hotly contested election that it was very, very followed. Yeah. I hope it's Straits Times, right? If it's Today, I think maybe it was Adeline Wong from Today who did it. And Today doesn't even exist anymore, so I'm not sure whether the video is still there. I'm going to have to try and find it. Yeah, I think it could be Adeline Wong from Today. But eventually, Wing Fei was okay, basically everyone, like, this is what the constitution says. We are going to have to follow it. Melvin Tan even stood up and said, guys, I know that it doesn't look like it's a fair. And then Melvin Tan running for vice president of competition, of training and selection, or VP competition, one of the two.
Coach Melvin, right?
Melvin, yeah. Coach Melvin Tan in a black suit, white top, because Edmund Pereira's team all dressed like lawyers, like him. So they all went in like dressed like lawyers to contest the election, right? Melvin Tan in a suit. He stood up and said, no, like, guys, I know, but this is the constitution. If we don't follow the constitution, then the whole election is void, which is, he's right. So eventually, okay, we revote. Everyone go up, same reps go out and vote, count vote. Oh, we have a winner, 11-9. Ho Man Cheong, you're the new president of Singapore Athletics. So during the revote, someone changed his vote.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, that's how your president is elected,
Is it still like that now?
And now that you know that only 20 people are voting, don't you think is okay, if you're the president and you want to win at all costs, what do you do?
Promise them favorable stuff.
Correct. And you don't even need to promise the club. You promise the guy voting. Imagine, okay, let's say there's an election coming up, and let's say don't know lah. Rui Yong is fighting for president against Romaine. Okay, and then
Okay.
you're from Oldham Athletics. If I'm win at all costs, I want to cheat, right? I find out, okay, Oldham, I don't know whether you guys have a vote. I don't think you guys are affiliates. Are you guys an affiliate? Are you guys
Yeah,
an
yeah,
affiliate?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, you are. Okay, so I go to, hey, Amir, who's voting on your side? Who? And like, let's say you say Ollie. Then, hey, Ollie. Okay, I think Ollie might be too pristine to buy a vote from lah. Let's say Zubin lah, Zubin. I don't know why you guys would send Zubin to go and vote lah. But let's say I go to Zubin.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
easy.
Yeah. Hey, Zubin. Like, who you voting for? I don't know. I think Oden want to vote for Romaine. Because Zubin, come lah. You are voting, right? What you want? You like women, right? I know a lot.
Hey, cannot. You got girlfriend, you got
Yeah, yeah.
girlfriend.
You very vain, right? You like protein powder, right? Come, I got the best. I give you. By the
Oh
way,
my goodness.
here's like, here's and some of these people not even well off. Zubin is actually quite well off lah, but some of these people, hey, $2,000 lah. Like these are my donation to your club. You do what you want, right? Yeah. No, don't need to pay back. It's okay. But you know what to do lah when the election come. Remember me lah, okay, bro. Okay. I see you there. That's exactly how things were allegedly going for a long time.
Damn.
And if you go back and watch the 2009 or 2010 election, the one that Weng Fei defeated Loh Ling Kok, I'm saying defeated in inverted commas. How did you look at it? Not a single vote was cast. Loh Ling Kok Loh Ling Kok withdrew right before the voting started. And why would you do that? I suspect, and it has also been reiterated by people who were there, that I suspect Loh Ling Kok went in and he looked at the people there, and those were not the people that he had tried to buy the votes from. And I think it was government. I think it was government down lah, because by that point the government was trying to get rid of him. So it was no longer like your club send whoever you want, you send that rep. Is the government tell you who you send? Like, okay, your let's say we know Ollie, you cannot buy a vote from Ollie, right?
Yeah.
So I'm the government. I said I go to Oldham. I say I'm the government now. I go to Oldham. I said, hey, we got a problem. This president like is causing a lot of problems. Like if he wins again, we are not going to fund athletics, and none of you are going to have anything. You make sure you send someone that is trustable, someone that is going to vote for the right party.
Can't be bought.
They're like, okay, I think we send Ollie. Like, he's a doctor. He's Christian. We can't buy a vote from him. This guy is amazing. Like, yeah. Okay, we send Ollie. Then imagine I had tried to buy a vote from. Now I'm come back to the scenario. I'm no longer government. I'm competing against Romaine for president. I walk into the room. I say, hey, where the hell is Zubin? I thought I bought a vote from him. Who the hell is Ollie? Fuck, I can't buy Ollie's vote. Like he's too upright. Oh shit, I thought I bought Track's Athletics Club. I thought I bought a vote from whoever, and now who is this guy? Oh, where are all my allies? All the people I tried to bribe are all gone. Shit, how? Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't want to get sued. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that is exactly what can happen. It could have happened.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to see why is it that Loh Ling Kok walked out of the room and before a single vote was cast and Tang Wen Fei was declared the new president by default.
Wow. This is all a
Shall
lot
I?
of... Okay.
Yeah. A lot of information download. So 2010 Singapore athletics election.
Is it still like this now? Do you know?
We have to read the constitution like honestly, ever since Lian's team took over, I found things okay enough that I haven't really had to go and like read the constitution and see how to oust the team.
Wow, okay.
Here. It's right here. The Singapore Sports Fan. Where? AI overview.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's a 2010 election. Okay, I'm. How do I share screen? Share screen. Share. Now, if you are listening on Spotify, you want to turn on your screen now because you see. Okay, this is just the AI overview, lah. Huh? If you guys want, you all can read in more detail. But the 2010 election for Singapore Athletics was a pivotal moment in the organization's history, marked by high-profile candidates and a dramatic leadership transition. Leadership challenge. Longtime President Loh Ling Kok, who held the post for nearly 3 decades, initially planned to defend his position. However, facing pressure from a strong opposition, he eventually dropped out of the running. He dropped out of the running on the day itself. Okay? And like here, you can... Now, this is 16 years ago, so you do a little bit of digging. But if you click on this... Let me change the screen. Stop. Change the screen. Share screen. I'm going to share that one here. Despite being thrust in the role, Tang Wenfei and Loh Teo Ping. Okay, wait. Singapore Sports Fan used to have a very good blog lah. I don't know whether he's still writing this blog, but
Do you know who it was? Who was it?
I don't know who it was. I don't know who it was, but if you guys come on this blog, there's a good history that ends. I mean, the blog ends in April 2014. But yeah, look at this, Valerie Pereira. You know who is that? That's Shanti's older sister.
Yes, that's Shanti's sister.
Yeah. So I grew up like with Valerie Pereira, like going for meets with her long before Shanti Pereira was on the scene. So anyway, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. Otherwise, I would have done the homework and made sure I had the article in front of me. But you can see lah, why else would a president like walk into the election hall, look around, and say, "Oh, you know what? I campaigned all this time. I've been president for so long. Today, I'm gonna give it up." Right? There's a reason one lah. You don't go in and like, oh fuck, right? you don't just 100%. Go in and like, today I don't want to fight lah. Today, I've been fighting for donkey 30 years. Today I come in to shake Weng Fei's hand and give him the presidency. No lah. Something happened, and
something must have happened.
That is my theory about what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would say that we are in a pretty good, like, given the history of SA, we are actually in a pretty good era lah, I guess.
Why do you think all these records are falling? Why do you think we're sending so many athletes to... I mean, like, sending athletes is a... The organization has to want to send these athletes, The organization not doing work, no one gets sent for jack shit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So... I mean...
Yeah, so...
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's... Okay. I would say, I mean, I agree with you in that I think the organization's actually doing a good job. But again, it means a bit more.
I'm not saying it's doing a good job. I'm saying it's doing better than before. Okay, so good is so subjective.
Okay, let me say that again. Like, in your words, you said that they're doing a better job than last time. To me, because I only know this current organization, right? I would say that they're doing a good job lah. But I think we both know that. I mean, with the current, how do I put it? Like the current programs and stuff that they have, there is somewhat of an athlete support, but I think we both also know that while they are rolling out more structured support systems like, OCTC, and like jumps program, relay program, all this kind of stuff, and even the new like marathon framework, remember the one that I sent you just now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From your perspective,
do you want to share the screen, then we can talk about it, or do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, maybe you share.
I share.
Yeah. And then let me ask my question.
Okay, so again, if you're listening on Spotify, you can probably get away with just the audio, but I am going to share a screen that Amir sent to me earlier today, which says OCTC Support Framework for Marathon Athletes, Singapore International Marathon. Okay, so OCTC means Overseas Competition
and Training Camp.
Okay, Overseas Competition and Training Camp Support Framework. Essentially, dear athletes and coaches, Singapore Athletics is pleased to share the OCTC Support Framework for Marathon Athletes preparing for the Singapore International Marathon. The support framework is intended to assist eligible marathon athletes in their preparation leading up to the event and to provide additional support during the key training and competition preparation phase. Support period is 1st June 2026 to 30th November 2026. Athletes must meet the following performance standards. Men below 233.00, women 259.00. Support amount $1,500 per eligible athlete. Eligible athlete who meets the performance standards may be considered for this support, which is aimed at assisting training-related needs during the build-up to the Singapore International Marathon. Kindly apply online at this link. So what do you think, Amir?
So for those who do not know, or those who are less educated on this, and it's actually quite common, because I myself only found out about this when I was a part of this program, the OCTC program.
Yeah.
This OCTC grant is actually given out to those who are within a certain percentage of the bronze medal mark for the Southeast Asian Games. And it is supposed to help you in your qualification for the games, or in like basically any qualification throughout the year, right? Or any competition throughout the year. So for example, I can use it for training camps to Europe or to Australia, stuff like that.
Yes.
And it depends, and the amount that you get differs based on how far away you are from the
Yes.
bronze medal mark. So for example, this year, if I'm not mistaken, 5% is $2,000, 3.5% is $5,000, and 2% or hitting the bronze medal mark is $8,000. So with the $1,500 per eligible athlete, that's not even. And for just so people know, below 233, that is around the bronze standard mark. So by right, if you're around 233, you should be getting at least $8,000 to $5,000 to $8,000. But this time you're only getting $1,500. And again, for people who do not know, the marathon for this year, for whatever reason, wasn't included in the OCTC grant.
Okay,
so effectively, you are receiving less amount.
I understand because I've been a part of the system for a long time. Everything you're saying makes sense, but most of the listeners are not going to understand what you're talking about because it's a bit too technical. But essentially, the marathoners are getting a lot less, and
yes,
yeah, that's long story short. Instead of getting 8,000, getting $1,500. Okay?
$100.
Yeah. Just based on this what you're reading here, lah. Now, I just want to go one step further, one step backwards. Sorry, who do you think published this? Who published this and thought it was a good idea?
I have
First
no
of
idea.
all,
Wait,
it says Singapore Athletics wants to help athletes preparing for the Singapore International Marathon. This has never happened before.
Are you the race director?
Sorry?
I'm
the race director. I'm not Singapore. Yeah, but I'm not Singapore Athletics. What? I'm just part of the team organizing the Singapore International Marathon. Yeah, we were not consulted, lah.
So
I'm very sure we were not consulted.
I was gonna ask that.
I found out through social media, lah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's not the first time I find out.
Very shocking.
It's not the first time we've been blindsided. I mean, there have been some complications, and this is no secret. But when we were on the call with Singapore Athletics, suddenly, instead of top 3 being selected for SEA Games, it was like, top 5 we nominated, and I pushed back on it straight away. I was like, how come our team was not consulted on this? Why are you calling a last-minute meeting and telling everyone? I was quite frank with my feedback there. But essentially, let's look at this. Singapore Athletics wants to help athletes preparing for the Singapore International Marathon. Why? Why? Singapore Athletics should be helping the athletes to prepare for the SEA Games. Focus your resources on the few that get selected to go to the SEA Games. Right? Especially when you're using 233 and 259. You are using the SEA Games qualifying marks to select which athletes get support leading into the Singapore International Marathon. That doesn't make sense to me. That's number one. I do not think a distance runner was consulted on this. I do not think a marathon runner was consulted on this framework, if I'm very honest, because it doesn't make any sense. And let's look at the support period. 1st June to 30th. Okay, wait, that's the support period. But where is the qualifying window? Okay, look at this.
No idea. I would assume it's the same as OCTC.
Well, then they should put it here, lah. How are they expecting people to know?
I do not know.
No, really what? Okay, so 233,
No.
but when? 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 2 years ago?
Mm.
Then you have to apply. I guess I should
I think you
apply.
might.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't even know because the last time I actually ran a marathon for time was to qualify for the last SEA Games, and I ran 227, but that was like January 2025. So does that qualify? Like, this
I
is not
think
even
okay,
complete
based
lah.
on OCDC, yes.
Is it?
Based on OCTC, yes, you would because
Okay.
OCTC. Okay, because you say OCTC, right? What I know of
Yeah, yeah.
OCTC is they will take from the entire year, ma.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I mean, hell if I know lah. I can't remember the windows, but yeah. I mean, the other thing is that 1500. Why is it so little?
You can barely
I mean,
cover any
it's no matter
flights
with.
to
I mean, okay,
anywhere.
you don't be I don't want to be an asshole lah. People give money, I take, right? Like, if people want to give money to support, I'm like, okay, but it comes to a point where it's a bit derisory. Like, if
Mm.
you're going to support someone, like, okay, I'm going to support you. I'm going to give you 2 t-shirts and $5. You also a bit like, what the fuck, right? Like, like, well, you're going to
Thank
support,
you, I
like,
guess.
sorry? Yeah, okay, thank you, I guess.
Is a
Exactly.
thank you, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, I guess. Like, no, Singapore is very proud of you. I mean, we're going to support you. And imagine I'm Singapore Athletics. Like, I'm the general manager or president or whatever. I'm like, I mean,
Mm.
your road mile, you're the first man under 420. We really want to support you. We're proud of you. You're a good role model. Okay, how are you going to support me, boss? I mean, I'm going to give you 2 Singapore t-shirts and $5 a month. Right? Right.
That would be quite funny. That would actually be quite funny.
Okay, this is not $5 a month. Like 1,500 divided
Yeah
by
lah.
6 or 5 or 6, like it's $250 a month. So it's not terrible, but yeah, I mean, I
It's
I
not
just think,
terrible, but at the same time, like if you are really gonna plan a trip and stuff, right? Especially with airfares these days,
yeah,
where
I
can you
actually saw
go
that
with fifteen
Xing
hundred
Xing,
dollars a month?
I always thought Xing is very shy and quiet. She actually has quite a lot to say if you follow her on Instagram. She made a comment about this. She was like, basically $1,500, like what the fuck? Like, she did the math, like going to Gold Coast, she's making a loss on this. Okay lah, I guess it
Yeah.
defrays the cost lah. Okay. Um, yeah, I think the support amount it could definitely be higher, but I also don't understand what this is meant to support. Like, so basically, are you trying? Because to me, the Singapore International Marathon um, trial, sorry, the Singapore International Marathon National Championship is the trial for the SEA
The
Games next
games.
year. So
Yep.
what are we doing here? Are we trying to help the better runners have an advantage? Support period 1st June to 30th November. But it's also like, if you take $1,500, what can you do with this?
Yeah.
You're not going to race another marathon. Okay, maybe you go to Gold Coast. Like, okay, actually, maybe, yeah, some people want to go to Gold Coast.
Fair, but okay, look. How many men right now are under 233?
I don't know.
It's
I only
literally
know
only
Keen. I
you,
know Keen lah, cause he
Kin.
made sure the whole world knew. So I know that Keen has 229.
Okay,
Keen, I know you're listening to
you.
this. I still haven't received your list of alleged inaccuracies in my podcast. Please send it over to me if you're listening to this. We look forward to hearing from you, and we're gonna have him as a guest on the podcast. I think it'll be a great episode. So I'm
I
sorry
can't
if
wait
you're
to
feeling
tune into
hurt by
that
anything
one.
we've said, but we really want to hear your side of the story. So please let me know. He says you want to come on as a podcast guest after Gold Coast Marathon. So actually, good luck for that.
I can't wait. Okay, that would
Yeah.
be good. But
Yeah.
okay,
Okay. So
back to the
Keen,
question. It's
Uncle
you,
Henry,
Kin,
Uncle
Henry,
Henry,
Caleb,
Caleb,
Richard, Arif.
Richard 232 or 233.
I thought it was 232.
I thought
Wait,
he went for a
let me
shit
pull
and
it
still
up.
ran 233, and then Arif ran
Wait.
232.
Let me pull it up. Oh man, I might be wrong.
Well, Arif double dipping, man. He's getting money from triathlon and Singapore Athletics.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Richard is 233, which means it's Arif.
So our top finisher at SEA Games doesn't qualify for the OCTC.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
Fuck.
okay, to me, on so many levels, this is a bit weird because, like you said, right? Like, why is it for Singapore International Marathon? Number one. Number two, what is this meant to do? Is
Yeah.
it if it's $1,500 and it's for OCTC, nobody's gonna travel anywhere for anything with $1,500
Yes.
to
Okay, I
any
mean like
quality marathon.
yeah. Okay, the way I'm looking at it is maybe they separated the marathon to break it up into two tranches, which is one, they support everyone with the standard up to Singapore Marathon, and then two, after Singapore Marathon, whoever qualify for season or the podium finishes, they get an extension on this, and that's where the rest of the OCTC comes in. Lah. I don't know if it's going to be like
But
8,000 minus 1,500, and then the $6,500 comes in after you place on the podium. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah,
no,
like you're saying, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
what you're saying also wouldn't make sense because they renew the tranche every year, which means that there will be a new tranche for next year as well.
Okay, so basically, this year the
effectively,
marathon runners get screwed, lah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the marathon runners are not getting anything.
So yeah, no. Now that you break it out like that, yeah, now I understand what nonsense is this. Okay, then also,
Yeah.
do I qualify for this? Because I qualified on the 5,000 on the other side, so I think I got $8,000 on that. Can I now apply for an additional $1,500, or is it like if you're on one, you cannot be on the other?
No clue. I really have no idea.
So I don't think this was thought through properly, leh. Also, like I think there needs to be some degree of athlete feedback on these things, so that the administration and the board, and I think Marinda is a key player in these things. She does a lot of work for Singapore Athletics. I think she needs a distance runner consulting her, leh, on these things.
I thought that was supposed to be you.
Okay, what I heard, what I eventually heard through the grapevine was that Singapore Athletics, they are a bit, or rather, I think they are a little bit afraid to put me as the face of any like high performance distance program, even though we need one, because of potential friction with Sport Singapore and SNOC lah. I don't have any issues with Sport Singapore. I got zero issues with Sport Singapore, and I don't think they have any issues with me. I think they're quite neutral, but. I mean, SNOC is SNOC. But, at the same time, it's like, how long are you going to hold a grudge, right? And not say I'm going to compete. We're talking about helping other people get better. Wouldn't you want
helping
other
the whole community
Singaporean...
get better?
Wouldn't you want... if I'm SNOC, you know what I want now? I want someone to defeat Soh Rui Yong. I would pour thousands of dollars into creating the next guy that can they beat Soh Rui Yong and take all his records and make him forgotten. Sorry, no one's going to forget me. That's the problem. So that's the... Wouldn't you want Rui Yong to bring up other athletes with his experience, and then they can then go on to be even better, and they can go on to achieve like greater heights, and then everyone can finally forget and stop talking about Soh Rui Yong? Isn't that what you want? But rather than that, like okay, here's a guy with 2 SEA Games gold medals in the marathon and like a silver medal in the 10,000 meters. You know what? We're just gonna throw away all that experience because we don't like it. We don't like him. We're just gonna continue sucking. That's not the way to do things, what? But I also think it's on Singapore Athletics. Like I think that if Marinda and Singapore Athletics want to put me as, you don't need to put me in, don't say put me in charge. Just you need some sort of input, some sort of consultant to help you draw up support structures like this, help athletes plan, periodize properly, to win a medal at the SEA Games. We haven't won a medal at the SEA Games in donkey years for long distance.
Since you lah, basically.
On the men's side, since me. On the distance side, I think maybe Chui Ling won a bronze she won a bronze medal
5,000
in 2023.
2023.
1,500.
Yes, correct.
1,500, maybe 800 as well. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5,000 was when? 2022 maybe
She never won a medal in 5,000 dude.
No, 10,000, sorry, 10,000.
10,000 lah. After she finished fourth and then successfully appealed for someone to be disqualified for wrong shoes lah, even though the girl who beat her with wrong shoes was like 2 laps ahead of her, or a lap and a half ahead of her. I tell you, if I lose to 7 by 600 meters, I got no face to go and appeal for that person to be disqualified lah. If you lose to someone by a lap and a half, it's not the shoes, dude. Anyway,
That's so funny.
back to the point. I think that this framework. I mean, like I think that Singapore Athletics, like if you really want to move distance running forward, you need some sort of point man to at least give you input on what it takes. Because right now, I can tell you in Singapore Athletics, nobody knows what it takes to win a marathon gold medal. Nobody knows what it takes to win a distance medal. Nobody. Nobody has coached nobody has coached a medal. Nobody has won a medal. Nobody has worked with a coach that won a medal. Nobody has worked with an athlete that won a medal. No, none, zero. So we're just gonna continue banging around, like hoping for the best. Like what are we gonna pray for? I'm gonna pray for. Yeah, I guess what we're doing now, we just pray for people to fall in your lap, and like, hopefully there's a Sean Go that. Hopefully, there's someone like Sean Go who picks up running later in life and like starts by looking at Soh Rui Yong Strava and gets decent, and then starts coaching himself via Let's Run, and then like magically gets linked up via Keenco, ironically, to Jordan Donnelly, who now coaches him, and then magically discovers he's got some talent, and then now he can actually break some records. I tell you what, like Sean is still nowhere near a SEA Games medal, nowhere near. So how are you going to help him get there? Where's the pipeline? Do we have a pipeline? No, we do not.
No, we do not.
Zero.
What's
the pipeline for Ruben right now? What is the pipeline for Ruben? I want to know right now. Okay, now we got two good not at least two. The only two that come to my mind, and I'm sure there are more, right? The two sharpest talents we have now are Pranav and what's his face? Ruben. Okay?
Yes.
What is the pipeline for people like this? What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
Literally no idea.
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Are you just gonna pray that with their coach they're gonna create some magic? Is Zon coaching Ruben?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna support Zon to coach Ruben? Are we gonna make are we going to have them train together because they are of similar ability, and like is there a national team structure? Is there anyone going to help them plan like a competition calendar, for example, to approach the SEA Games even? I tell you what, last year we could have had a distance medal. Do you know who could have won a distance medal last year?
Who?
Do you know who?
Who?
Vanessa Lee could have won a distance medal last year. 5,000 meters.
Oh, true.
She or Nicole, actually. Both of them could have. But they were not at their best in the SEA Games. Why? Periodization. Vanessa was running a race every month, by the time Great Eastern came around, she was not in shape. She was not even in the top 10. She had a body cramp or something like that. Singapore Half Marathon National Championship, she should be winning this race easily. She's not even second. She's third. Losing to people she shouldn't be losing to. Jasmine. No offense to Jasmine. I don't think Jasmine and Vanessa are in the same... sorry. Not that they're not in the same league. I think Vanessa is still a better runner. And the times would suggest that. And then and despite all that, I think she ran quite well at SEA Games. She still got fourth. Nowhere near her best time. Not that time is the best. On the women's side, actually, it's a bit more of a time trial. They actually just go for it, and then if you PB, if she at PB, she wins a medal quite comfortably as well. But eventually, the Filipino girl who got third is not as good as Vanessa, but she PB'd at SEA Games. She ran her best race of the year at SEA Games, got third. Vanessa got fourth, right? And I think that Lian also asked Vanessa what was one thing that she would have changed. Periodization. That's what she said. But if there was any guidance from Singapore Athletics side, someone could have maybe told her, you know what? If we're going to fund you to race at the SEA Games, what is the goal? If it's to win a medal, probably don't race every month, right? For example. Yes, it sucks that some of the bigger races are nearer to SEA Games, but especially coming from I don't know how long people want to do this sport. I can tell you that, someone like Vanessa, not young anymore, approaching 30, right? Like 28, whatever.
28.
You don't have so many chances to win a medal, You don't have so many chances to win a medal. When you got a chance to win a medal and you don't grab it, it can kick you, like 10 years down the road. You're like, oh, fuck, actually, that year I could have done it. I didn't do it. You never know. 2 years' time, Philippines might be better. You might have athletes coming in from the US to represent some of these countries, and that didn't... Imagine if there's a female Kiran, female Yasin coming in. suddenly you're not going to win a medal, you know.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're not say you're not going to, your chances go down by a lot. So there needs to be some guidance on this, you know, like you're just letting people run around doing their own thing, and then you're praying for, and then hoping for the best. Oh, how come we still suck? You know, like right?
It's okay. I think the thing is, right, like at the current moment, OCTC is a good initiative, but what we need to look at is really developing that pipeline for 2029 lah and beyond. We cannot keep saying, oh, you know, like, oh yes, we have all these junior athletes, more junior athletes that we're sending. Fair enough, fine. But what are you doing what programs are you putting in place? So far we have the jumps program, and that's it.
Yeah.
We have no throws program despite having many promising athletes.
Okay, so why do we only have a jumps? And by the way, the jumps program, I think they showed some result. It shows that with an organized program, you can see results.
Exactly.
Okay? So why is there only a jumps program?
Not? I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know
so there's a lot of I have no idea. I don't know why. Sorry, I better close this window. We are like doing a. We've been talking with people on YouTube are going to be seeing that screen like for a long time. I should have closed it a long time ago. But yeah, we should have. You know, this is something that. Why are all these questions like that? Why is it always I don't know? Why is there a jumps program but no distance program? I don't know. Why is there a jumps head coach telling them what to do, helping them win medals at SEA Games, whereas like distance side there's no coach, and therefore athletes like Vanessa Lee race every single month for a $500 check or $1,000 check, and then has nothing left at SEA Games, cannot win a medal when it's supposed to win a medal, and that would have been, I can tell you, that would be historic lah. If we had a female 5,000 meter bronze medal, it would have been historic, and you know, if you're talking about money, it would have paid off tenfold. One SEA Games bronze medal is better than 10 of your Mickey Mouse, Garmin 5K or Garmin 10K or whatever nonsense all these races are lah. Okay.
Yeah, because nobody has ever won a 5,000 meter medal.
Exactly. Or what's this triathlon around the Marina Bay?
Trifecta,
whatever fuck lah. You know, like I don't care lah. But you know, like one SEA Games bronze medal would be more important than this. I know she flies back from the US to go and do this kind of races. Like, you take what, like, you know, in terms of investment of time and energy, I think it needs to be a bit more strategic lah. But you know, if somewhat you cannot blame the athlete for not having that perspective if no one teaches her about it. And who can teach her about it? A national coach or at least a program director saying like, hey, you know what? Like, if we're going to sign this amount of money to support your training, I think the focus needs to be maybe SEA Games. And, you know, if you're going to raise well at SEA Games, let's try and figure out some periodization because, you know, the periodization is important.
Yes.
Right? It's very important. And then
so on this exact topic, I have actually, because I interned at SA and like I have kept in contact with them and stuff like that. I've actually asked them like, hey, why don't we have a distance, not like a coach, not a head coach, but like a coordinator, a program director, you know?
Yeah.
Like not to you know, how do I put it? Like they can also coach athletes, sure, but their main objective would be to direct, coordinate, you know, maybe like, oh, if this person's going altitude camp, or who else is keen to go, who else can fit into their program, stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know,
100% what?
And 100%. It takes someone with knowledge lah.
Yeah.
So like, I've asked these questions, and like they're like, oh, what's that called? What did they say? They said, oh, I talked to Bastian about this, and he's like, yeah, but I don't think, you know, like, I don't think it will make that much of a difference. Like, we are
what?
Like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, to be fair, it would make a really big much of a difference.
Exactly.
But then he also said, but it also depends on whether the higher ups want to hire someone else, like someone new.
Okay, the second part of that sentence from Bastian is absolutely correct. The first part is absolutely wrong lah. What do you mean it won't make a difference?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I pushed back lah, right? And I was like, okay, no. Frankly speaking, it would make a big difference because at the end of the day, you see all these promising athletes with no guidance. How are they going to stay in it? How are they going to know a pathway? And then he's like, yeah, but then we also need to find the coaches and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but like, you look for it, you can find it.
Yeah.
If you're not looking for it, you won't be able to find it.
You just need something to start, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like, sometimes I also don't even know why it's not, I'm not even looking for additional money or additional work or what, but I just believe in this line. I'm just like, until you find someone that can do a better job, right? I think I can do a half decent job. If I
Mm-hmm.
was Singapore Athletics and I had someone who won 2 gold medals and 1 silver in the distance events and is still active and is still willing to help, I will be begging him to help. Please share with us. How did you go here? How did you train for this? When you go to Flagstaff, where do you stay? When you go to Japan, how do you converse? How do you train? How do you pick your competitions? Jacob will call me before he go to Japan. I will tell him this is what you need to do. You need to stay here. It takes 2 hours to get to the race. You need to go at this time. When you go there, you collect your bib. When you warm up, ensure you do this and that because it's all fresh in my head. I just did it last year and I know. And he followed my advice on some, didn't follow my advice on the others. The race he didn't follow my advice. He didn't run. He ran like shit. The race he followed my advice. He ran better. So this is something that is that's real time lah. So
Tried
Bastian,
and
what do
tested
you mean it makes
lah.
no difference lah? Yeah, what do you mean no, it made a difference for Jacob, and then then there are athletes who are they want to go to altitude. Shohib will call me to consult me on altitude training. How does he plan the program? He put the Excel sheet on the shared screen. We look at it together. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. I think this is a bit too difficult. I think maybe take it a bit easier here. Recovery needs to be a bit longer. Da, 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 da. Do I know everything? Of course not. But I've done altitude before. I've done all these things before. All of you in Singapore have done zero lah. Like you have gone to Australia, you've done a bit more than most people. All in Singapore, you know zero lah. So all these people who know zero, who don't look for help, I really no 井底之蛙, you're the frog in the well, right? And then you are behaving as if you don't need help. You are amazing. And that's why you get shot at when you go to the SEA Games. You get fucked. There's
I
no better.
wholeheartedly agree.
I can't say it any other way.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, look, it is quite obvious that, at least from my perspective as well, like, while we are getting support, and I'm very grateful for the support, obviously, I feel like it's still it's still quite reactionary. It's not
Yes, exactly.
proactive.
Yes.
It's not like, it's like you wait for these athletes to already be established, then you support them. But
Yeah.
what about building that pipeline? Like
Yeah.
what are your thoughts, okay? For example, let's say if tomorrow SA comes to you and they're like, okay, Rayon, we are gonna hand you the reins to a distance program for the next 10 years. What would you do? What would be the first 3 things that you would do?
First thing is you identify all the key. I mean, this one is a discussion between you and your bosses based on what keeps your job, like your KPIs, right? But what do they want? Is it medals at major games? Which major games are they targeting? Are you trying to build a national team? Do you want a critical mass of national or pipeline? Are you trying to build pipelines? What's the goal next 10 years? I can tell you 10 years is not 10 years is not a long time, dude. Like my first SEA Games was more than 10 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. It's not a long time. Before you know it, bang, you're 35, right? Like I'll be 35 in less than 2 months. So once upon a time I was the baby of the team, right? So things can go by like that one, like fast. So you plan lah. Okay, we're looking at 10 years. Okay, first of all, okay, Singapore SEA Games 3 years time. Maybe that's important, but you cannot do a lot in 3 years. Really, you can do a bit, but you're looking at your 21. Okay, because of NS, the boys you're looking at 21 years old to 26, 27 years old. Who do we have? How do we help them get in the best possible shape for the 2029 SEA Games? Okay, some exceptions if your name is Soh Rui Yong and you're still PBing at the age of 34, then these are the exceptions you look at, like are you still in the game in 3 years' time? How can we build this pipeline? And maybe you even look at these senior athletes as your mentors for the young
mentors.
Right now, there's no mentorship. What? Right now, people just fuck off from the sport.
Yep.
They break their records. They win the SEA Games medal. They get tired from the sport. They fuck off.
Yep.
Right. We got hurdles. Yep. We got Dipna Lim Prasad, who once upon a time was a SEA Games silver medalist. Has she mentored anyone since she left? No. Zero.
I feel like this is another. I mean, okay. In my opinion it's another thing. Obviously, if we were to recommend this to SA, it is quite obvious that they are lacking manpower, right?
Yes.
But if they had the manpower, I believe this should be something that someone actually, like for example, Trailing just recently retired. Reach out to these retired athletes, set them up with the future, the future batch. Don't just get the current athletes to mentor them, but get the athletes who've already retired to come back and help out as well. because that's how you really grow the community and build it and connect those bonds together, lah. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
as well, like, it's like people won't know the stories of these athletes if nobody
Exactly.
tells them.
I don't know any stories of training, by the way. Like she retired, I found out maybe
See?
2 months later.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, oh, she's gone now.
See?
Okay, lor. I mean, like, you know. So it's like, I don't know, man. So I think that yes, mentorship is important. I mean, yeah, like you need to pick the right people as well. Doesn't mean because you did it before, therefore you have what it takes to lead a group, lead a team, or whatever it might be. Some people are not very good at articulating, some people are not very good at speaking and telling their stories, but then you need to delve into their experiences, delve into their brains and figure out why this, why that. And I can tell you on
Yeah.
the women's side, why was Cui Ling able to go from her 400 high jump background and become a medalist in the 800, 1500? Southeast Asia distance running on the women's side is not deep at all. Singapore can absolutely medal, and you can see last year Vanessa, poor planning, poor periodization, still end up 4th place. You know, Cui Ling changed to distance. Yes, she broke a few Singapore national records, but those were soft in the first place. Those were standing for like 30 years before she broke it. When a record stands for 30 years, you know what it means? The record is soft. I mean,
It means nobody has progressed
yeah,
since
for
then, lah.
Singapore, yeah, because no one pursues that kind of level for, right? Okay, let's not talk about the doped up records. Like you're talking about the world record for 800 meters. It's been standing until now. Kitty Hodgson is trying to break that. That's a different story, like, because the lady who
Yeah,
broke
that's
the
different.
record
That's different.
is an Eastern European, doped to the gills with steroids. She looks like a fucking dude with armpit hair. Okay, that's different. Singapore, the records that stood a long time, either they miscounted a lap somewhere and therefore the record is damn fast, or the marathon maybe is not certified, therefore it's like maybe a kilometer or two short, that's why it stood a long time. But on the track, 800,005, this record stood for like Chi Sui Lee. You know, no super spikes, no nothing, and then her record stand for so long. How? Because we don't really have a pipeline. There's like training up athletes to go after an improvement and attack all these records. So you have anomaly setting records and then nothing. Anomaly, then nothing. Anomaly here, nothing.
Yep.
So, you know, that's number one. We gotta have some sort of direction. You know, at least hire someone that can give you distance running input, or at least every event group you need someone. Even if you don't have a jumps program, if you don't have a distance running program, you at least need a point man to coordinate, to tell you what is
100%.
happening in distance running. Otherwise, you come up with all this shit. Sometimes I talk to, you know, like it could be Marinda, it could be any one of the staff. I can tell they don't know what's going on, lah. I can tell they don't know what's going on, lah. Then I'm like, no, that's not what's going on. This is what's happening. No, and then I'm like, you know what? Like these are all basic stuff that I shouldn't even be explaining at this kind of level. And I don't care if you are yes, you're putting in the effort, but you're putting effort to move the boat in the wrong direction. Then you're getting further away from your goal, right? So hard work, yes, it's hard work. I appreciate everyone thinks they're working hard. Most people are. I believe Miranda is, but it's one of those things as well that if you're swimming in the wrong direction, then you're not getting any close. Yeah, you're still gonna drown.
Yeah. No, but okay, that's the thing. So actually, they used to have, and I don't know whether they still do. Actually, they used to have this thing where it's like, athlete liaison to the, like middle distance has a representative that talks to.
Is that the athlete commission?
I don't even know. I don't even know if it's still a thing anymore, honestly.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know whether this is what you're referring to, but then we had the athletes commission. I think Po Seng Song was the chair, and then for distance it's
yes.
Colin Tung.
Yes.
That's what you're referring to, is it? Okay.
That's the
but
one,
those are all
yes.
retired athletes lah. So, and they all have lives, you know, they're all working jobs, some of them got kids. I don't know if retired athletes is the best direction to go. If you want people who are active, they know what is happening, you should get current athletes. So maybe athletes commission, in my opinion, it should be the current athletes lah. So let's say athletes commission chair, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there, I don't think she want to do this anyway, Shanti Pereira, right? And then sprints rep, you know, someone from a different training group, maybe a man, maybe I don't know, either yeah, Elizabeth or Zubin or whatever, like, you know, like someone like that on as a rep. Then distance rep, you know, let's say it's myself, and then you have the throws rep, and then you have the jumps rep, and then maybe the committee meets every once a month to talk about, okay, what's happening in the various distance events. Are we on track for the next SEA Games? Is the association helping us properly? Like what can be done better? This is what you can pitch, and then Shanti has to go and pitch to the federation lah, the association.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like this is where we are. This is who is running well, who is not running well, who is injured, da da da. Like how can we support them? This is what the athletes are saying, and then at least there's a proper pipeline. I can tell you the retired athletes, they don't know what, they're not at the track, Po Seng Song is flying his plane up and down. Like, you think he cares what's happening at KPT? Even if he cares, he's not able to keep up necessarily.
Yep.
When's the last time that anyone on the altitude on the athletes commission went to altitude training camp? Do you think Colin Tong knows what it's like to train at altitude? Does he know what it's like to try and put a European circuit together? Which, by the way, is something that every distance runner in Singapore should try at least once in their life. Put together a list of European circuit races, Belgium, London, fucking Netherlands, France, whatever. Go to these competitions where it's a lot deeper and you can race, time, proper time trials, people around your standard, and see how fast you can go. Because I can tell you, running around KPT doesn't get you anywhere.
I think the first step, at least for most athletes, is the money lah. If you don't have OCTC, it's quite hard.
Of course. And that's where and at the start of the podcast, you were talking about how to make Singapore Open something that everyone wants to race, right? Well, unfortunately, if there's nothing on the line, no meet is gonna be exciting lah. Even America struggles with this. US has one of the most developed track and field scenes in the world. On non-Olympic or non-World Championship years, a lot of the top stars, they skip the
US
outdoor championships, because you're not gonna run fast there. It's in Texas or some shit, in the summer. So they skip lah. They rather go to Europe and try and race a fast time, especially if their contract bonus doesn't pay for it or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe if you use Singapore Open as the national championship and as a key identification, a key talent identification model for your future pipeline. Let's say lah, I'm not saying you got all this money for OCTC, right? Pump some to Singapore Open, lor. Say that, okay, if you are on the podium, if you're first, second, third in Singapore at the national championship, we will give you some money to go and do a European race circuit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's say OCTC is 8,000, right? Singapore Open, let's say you race, you get the first, 3,000 for first, 2,000 for second, $1,000 for third. But strictly, it's not like I give you cash. It's like, okay, you make your OCTC plan. You're going to go to Europe or Japan to race and try and, let's say you won the 5,000, right? Now, Pranav, you won the 5,000, 15:25 is good, but you can run 14:59 if you train hard and you go to Europe. This is the way forward. We will pay for it because you are our champion. We believe in you. You have proven that you can do it. We send you to Europe and do. Isn't that a better way to do it than what the fuck this OCTC is, give based on time?
Personally, I think it's a good idea. Of course, these are all hypotheticals, right? Because it's we have no real influence on this. But I would think, at least if it's not to replace OCTC, I think it could be used to add to the OCTC. Because that also gives the chance for athletes who are not within that percentage to get support. Right?
Exactly, because a lot of these OCTC qualifying marks, you first need to compete overseas to qualify.
Correct.
You think Sean Goh is going to hit 14:46 running around KPT? But he hit it. But you see, he hit his 14:45 in Germany. So,
but you see, he did all that while being supported as a pro athlete already. What about those who are not? Right?
Exactly. 100%. So, if you want to make the Singapore Open something that matters, you need to attach something on the line lah. So yes, OCTC, you can have the existing OCTC system, and whatever funds you have left over, or you need to not say whatever is left over, is that kind of scale. Let's say you don't have an OCTC, you can win OCTC by winning the Singapore Open. Let's say
I think that would be very, very good.
Exactly, 8,000, 4,000, 2,000, for example.
Yeah.
You see, so
or even if it's not that much, maybe like you said 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, whatever.
Exactly. Then people will show up because you're like, fuck, $8,000 on the line. Yes, it's not cash, but I can go and pay for my Europe. I can basically win a trip to go and further my PBs. then I do it lah.
And
I
it
can
helps
tell
the
you there'll be
progress
some
as well.
exactly, and then there's some people who win it and then they may not even make use of it. Then you don't even spend all of it, right? But it's a good incentive rather than nothing. Give me a gold medal Singapore Open for fuck. What am I going to do with it?
I agree. I mean, look, it's just one of those things where we can talk all day till the cows come home lah. But it's
Yeah,
frankly
but you know,
speaking, unless
we've
people
only
want
been
to
talking for
change.
2 hours and 20 minutes, and we came up with, I think, more good ideas than you can see among the current policy support system lah.
Yeah, I mean, I again, I agree.
Okay, you need to go and
There are
cut
so
all
many
these and post it
changes.
on IG. You need to cut all these ideas that we have and post it on IG, and then
Snip it up, right?
people will see.
Good thing I got holiday break, so I have a bit more time.
Fantastic. Okay, your first episode is 2 hours 20 minutes. Anything else before we conclude?
Actually, yes.
Sure, go for it.
Two more questions, I guess.
Sure.
One, what does 34-year-old Rayong, what would 34-year-old Rayong, what advice would 34-year-old Rayong give a Rayong who just came out of national service, or a Rayong who just graduated from JC?
Well, if I was giving advice to someone who just graduated from JC, I would probably tell him that in NS you really got to. I would have told him in NS. I don't even know whether it was an option back then, but focus on the running lah. Like I did end up in OCS. I had a bad grass allergy. I had really bad skin condition, which really limited my progress in OCS. I couldn't sleep properly, couldn't focus properly, did very poorly on a lot of these military assessments, which also made me a very irritable person. So I wasn't really performing properly in OCS. And when I didn't pass certain navigation courses and stuff like that, when I was removed from the course because my navigation and all that kind of stuff was not on par, I eventually found, I mean, I was quite lucky also. I landed in a position that was a lot softer in terms of demands. Like, it's an office position. I think they took my medical condition into account. I do have very sensitive skin. I still get allergies to pollen. I still get allergies to grass. I need to be on the hay fever tablet whenever the summer comes around. So it's not easy from you can imagine in the military, walao, you're crawling around in that kind of shitty conditions. It was really bad for me. So I was trained in how to handle a tank and all that kind of stuff. So by then I was a sergeant. I was able to have some sort of rank, but I wasn't in charge of people or anything. I was just in charge of admin work, and that's when I really managed to settle into some sort of good running routine, and my fitness picked up from there. In fact, I ran my 5,000 meter PB my second year of army at Singapore Open. I ran 15:36. So, it was. So yes, it's gonna be rough. Military service is rough. There are ups and downs. And I survived BMT. I did quite well. I won an award for best fitness or whatever in OCS. I really struggled with my health and consequently my performance, and that's depressing at that point of time, because when you're surrounded by just military, when you don't do well in military, it really affects your mental state. I might even say your mental health, your confidence, your mental health. But then once I got transferred into an office, within the first or second day, I was like, what the hell was I so unhappy about? This is awesome. I'm in the aircon.
This is the life, man. Yeah.
Aircon room.
Understand.
You could leave the camp to go and do my training runs. I was like, oh fuck man, I wish I did this. I wish I did this sooner. I wasted 9 months or 1 year or whatever. The first year basically the first year was wasted lah.
Wasted.
Yeah. And who knows if I had actually passed the course. If they let me pass the course, they shouldn't have let me pass the course. But let's say they let me pass the course, and they put me in charge of a unit or whatever, I would have not been able to train, and that would have been bad. And maybe I would not have found my way back into the sport. I don't know. And then finally in university, I picked it up again. But yeah, I never for once felt that I lost out anything on that regard. And even in terms of looking back, I think that when you're 18, your perspective is like that. And going to NS, it actually shrinks because you're in a camp, you're surrounded by the same people all the time. running can seem so far away. So for guys like Ruben, your first week of BMT when your head is shaved and you're in combat boots and then you're in like your smelly like uniform that you're soaked in sweat, push up position because your sadistic sergeant decides to take out his frustration on you guys. It happens all the time, and then you can't even go for.
Yes.
So you can do all the hard stuff, but you can't. They put you through all that torturous stuff, but then you're not allowed to go for a 10-minute run without someone holding your hand. Yeah, you see all kinds of nonsense lah. But I think it does open your eyes to how illogical the world can sometimes be, or how illogical policies can sometimes be when on the ground. So while it's not a fun part of, it probably won't be a very fun part of your life, it's a good way to see how things work. And you see, like, just because someone has power doesn't mean he's right. Doesn't mean that his power means he's smart, or doesn't mean because someone has experience means he's adept at doing whatever. I think that those were the things I observed in national service. And there's also a lot of kiss ass lah. You see all kinds of kiss asses in national service, and that's when I realized that it's not for me lah. I never bothered.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I hated the people who kiss ass, and because of that, I just don't fit in with that kind of crowd. So everything
Yep.
I got is on my own merit. I don't really rely on that kind of stuff. But if you really want to, people fighting for like sort of honor, sort of merit, you need your fellow cadets to vote you as the best cadet or that kind of shit. You need to play the game lah. But that's the corporate world as well. There's wherever there's peer review, you see kiss asses, and that's how the world works. So there you go.
That's true. That's very
Yeah.
true. Okay. So I guess I will end this off by asking the last question because I said I had two questions now.
Yeah.
Now's the last question. So when you look at the athletes coming through Singapore athletics now,
Yes.
are you actually optimistic for 2029, the next home games, considering you were at the last home games?
Am I optimistic? I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic. I'm sorry, let me take this back. I am very pessimistic for distance running if nothing changes because we're relying on fucking luck prayers and luck to get a okay. Like I'm not saying I'm pessimistic as in like there are lots of good people in the sport. There's yourself, there's Oliver, there's your Oldham group is amazing, Sean is amazing. The girls' side we got some bright young talents coming through, and obviously Nicole is finding her feet. Vanessa has found her feet and hopefully continues to build on I think last year she had a more active year. This year I think not so much so far. At least hasn't improved on last year yet. Maybe still recovering from doing one race a month for the last 12 months of 2025. But these are all people that can make an impact. I myself, I think I can make an impact. I'm very confident that I can be in a position to win a medal for Singapore again in 2029 if I want to. And I will only want to if doing it is not doing it is something I don't mind putting myself through again lah. Because there's a lot of other stuff I can do. There's a lot of other races I can do. If I want to do another home games, I have to really want to do it. It's not half-assing it. I'm not gonna half-ass it if I come back and try and do a Singapore SEA Games again. I'll be 37 or 38 by then,
38.
depending on which month is held lah.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, it'll be nice for the journey to come full circle. But if we do not have a high performance distance program, we don't have a high performance lead, we don't have anyone from the distance side consulting the board before they launch policies like this, I do not think we will be in a fantastic position to win medals. I think that the Singapore International Marathon, or the BYD Singapore International Marathon presented by Adidas, is doing a good thing by making the trials for the SEA Games. I think if anything, that'll be a very interesting race. Like you can see, top 2 represent Singapore at the home SEA Games. That's gonna be amazing in the year 2028 when that trial is being held. So I think that this is gonna be something to look forward to. But I expect to win 0 medals. If we don't get our shit together and we don't get some sort of guidance going on, or maybe one from me if I can get it up again and go and show up. But otherwise,
I think
you guys are great. I just think that to win a medal, it takes a bit more than that. It takes a bit of help from the federation, and right now, you guys are good, but there's a lot of like good competition coming through, and the competition will only get stiffer from now until 2029. Yeah,
Oh, 100%. 100%.
that's the reality of it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's a very good place to end this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for being our first guest. We actually had a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
2.5
yeah.
hours.
You
So
gonna
yeah,
who's guest
just
number two?
good question. I think it actually might be in 2 weeks, Tiruban, when I like in person. Remember, because we're going to Belgium,
Fantastic.
so might do an in-person podcast.
Yeah, buddy. Well, thank you
Okay,
so much for your
so
time. Tiru will be a fantastic guest, and yeah, hopefully we can get more and more people on here to tell the stories and share. Because I think that through discussion there'll be more perspective, and through perspectives, I assure you that people in power will listen to these kind of perspectives, and they will eventually implement it. They may not attribute the credit to you, but or me, but quietly lah, they will do it. I'm very confident of that. If it's a good idea, and all these
I
are good
mean,
ideas. If they can see it's a good
as
idea, they will
long
do it quietly, and then
yeah, as long as it
they'll be
moves the
like,
sport
yes,
forward.
I did it. You know, like no, 20, like 2 years down, I did it. I figured out. I built the pipeline. I created the Singapore distance running team. It was me. You know, it was my idea. You know how it works, lah.
Well, whatever it takes, I guess.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Okay, so
All right.
you know the drill. Just wait till the thing uploads, and
Yeah,
then
we
we're good.
finished just under the qualifying mark for the next SEA Games marathon. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna stop recording now.